Chapter 1332. Suyu's words were always half-truths, so those who said they could see through Suyu with one look were just bragging. Huasichin had a headache every time he talked to Suyu because this guy didn't play by the rules. Why would he always create such a weird scene? Huasichin rubbed his temples. Lord Su, I can't promise you that. I can promise you that I'll give you half of GK, but Mian, she's a person, not an object. I can't just give her whatever she wants, it's up to her. Of course, if she wants to be with you, that's her choice and I can't do anything about it. Then aren't you bullshitting? Suyu laughed as he scolded Huasichin. If Mian wants to be with you? Huasichin sure knew how to play games. If Huamin wanted to be with Suyu, he would have done it a long time ago. Why would he wait until now? So, Suyu thought that Huasichin's promise was as meaningless as a fart. Because Suyu was scolding him with a smile, Huasichin couldn't really get angry. He was already regretting his decision to work with this guy. It wasn't that he couldn't deal with him, he just needed to waste some time. What a pity. So, Lord Su, do you agree or not? Give me an answer. Originally, Suyu was the one who was impatient, but now Huasichin was the one who was impatient. He felt like he would break down if he continued to talk to Suyu. Suyu took a few deep puffs of his cigarette and pressed the butt of the cigarette into the crystal ashtray on the coffee table. He replied in all seriousness, I'm not doing it. Huasichin expected this, so he smiled. Okay then, I won't bother Lord Su anymore. Huasichin patted his shoulder, straightened his collar and left Seductive Fox. If Suyu were to defeat Chinchu, he would have to rely on his own abilities. He would never ask for help. Was this considered cheating? Bullying with numbers? Furthermore, it was even more impossible for him to find someone like Huasichin. Everyone in the industry knew that Suyu had a fiery temper, but most importantly, he had the capital. The Su family's power was influential even in the capital, let alone here. However, Suyu was actually very smart. He was very quick-witted and had a good eye for people. From the very beginning he had never liked Huasichin. He even felt that only an opponent like Chinchu was qualified to compete with him, while Huasichin would always be a despicable person. Huasichin focused on the result, not the process. Therefore he was willing to use any means to achieve his goal. That was why it was said that everyone was always different. If Chinchu and Suyu were called heroes in troubled times, then Huasichin was a ruthless person. He was just like Cao Cao, deceitful and cunning. However, one couldn't erase the glory that he had achieved. Huamin probably didn't know that the three men beside her were like the three kingdoms, each with their own thoughts. All she wanted was to live happily with Chinchu and wait for the birth of their baby. Huasichin walked out of Seductive Fox in a very bad mood. If Suyu didn't agree, he could have just said so. However, Suyu tricked him and even yelled at him. The worst part was that he couldn't get angry. Suyu, very good, ha. After I deal with Chinchu, I'll deal with you. There's still plenty of time. Huasichin smirked as he got into his flashy Rolls-Royce Phantom. On the top floor of Seductive Fox, Rick was wearing a black British trench coat as he leaned against the wall like a gentleman. He was listening to the conversation that just took place in a private room. Huasichin wanted to work with Suyu, but was mercilessly rejected by Suyu. Rick and Chinchu had been suspicious of Huasichin for a long time, so they had been keeping an eye on him. However, they hadn't received any news. Why did he suddenly want to deal with Chinchu? He even said that he would leave Huamin in a month. What did he have on him? Rick felt like he had to talk to Chinchu about this tomorrow. Chapter 1333. Huasichin looked at his watch and saw that it was almost 11 p.m. There was no way he could go back to his mansion to sleep because Song Yishur was there. Huasichin thought that he hated people as much as he did, but Song Yishur was worse than him. He didn't even want to look at her, because he felt nauseous. He picked up his phone and called Wang Shasha. The girl was still half asleep. After receiving Huasichin's call, she quickly got out of bed and got dressed. She didn't even have time to put on makeup. Then she ran downstairs and waited for Huasichin's car at the entrance of the neighborhood. To be honest, she looked very average and wasn't pretty at all. She still didn't know what kind of luck she had to have attracted President Hua's attention. What was even more surprising was that, after knowing each other for so long, Huasichin gave her money and bought her clothes, but he never touched her. She once thought that Huasichin might not be able to do it. The car slowly stopped by the side of the road. Wang Shasha opened the car door and was about to get in. Sit in the back. Huasichin hated it when someone else sat in the front passenger seat. Other than Huamin, no one else was allowed to do it. Wang Shasha didn't dare to say anything and immediately sat in the back. Then the car slowly started moving. President, while you're still awake? Wang Shasha was a little scared of Huasichin. Therefore she stuttered when she spoke to him. Huasiqian only responded coldly. Wang Shasha didn't dare to say anything else. The car slowly drove into another of Huasiqian's private residences. Wang Shasha had been here a few times and had even spent the night here. Therefore she was familiar with this place. Go take a shower? Huasiqian ordered. Wang Shasha nodded and went into the bathroom. She took a while before coming out. She originally thought that something would happen today, however, it was the same as every other time. Huasiqian only hugged her from behind. His movements were light and gentle. She felt a little indignant. She felt that if they didn't sleep together, they wouldn't have a substantial relationship. She just wouldn't be recognized. Therefore, she boldly turned around and gently slid her hand across Huasiqian's chest. President Hua. Her voice was a little coy. Turn around. Huasiqian's face immediately turned cold. His gaze was terrifying. Wang Shasha was so scared that she didn't dare to take another step. She turned around stiffly. After that, he didn't dare to speak anymore. Even his breathing was very, very light. After a long time, Wang Shasha felt that she was about to fall asleep. She heard Huasiqian murmur gently behind her, Mian? Who on earth was Mian? Wang Shasha didn't know much about the upper-class society. Therefore, she didn't know who Huasiqian was talking about, and she didn't dare to tell anyone. She felt that Huasiqian was a very scary person. If she said too much, she might get into trouble. The next morning, the two of them got up and put on their clothes. Huasiqian was just about to leave with Wang Shasha when he saw Song Yisher's car parked at the entrance. Get in the car first, Huasiqian ordered. Wang Shasha lowered her head and didn't dare to say anything. She directly walked towards the car. Song Yisher just happened to get out of the car and walked across from Wang Shasha. As she passed by, she deliberately grabbed Wang Shasha's chin and carefully looked at her for a while. Wang Shasha was scared out of her wits. She already knew that this woman was Huasiqian's wife and was even Mayor Song's daughter. As the third party, wouldn't she be torn apart? Ah, what a disappointment, Song Yisher mocked. Wang Shasha didn't dare to say anything. She broke free from Song Yisher's hand and immediately got into the car. What are you doing here? Huasiqian slightly frowned. Seeing Song Yisher so early in the morning really put him in a bad mood. Chapter 1334. It was as disgusting as seeing a black crow cawing in the morning. I have something to talk to you about, Song Yisher said arrogantly. Huasiqian glanced outside cautiously. Come in. Yes, he was cautious because the paparazzi liked to hide in front of rich people's houses and take pictures. Song Yisher followed Huasiqian into the house, wearing a wine-red cashmere coat and 7-centimeter black boots. Go ahead, when are we getting divorced? Song Yisher asked straightforwardly. Now's not the time. Then how long do we have to wait? Song Yisher didn't want to continue this relationship for another day. Not only would she have to live like a widow, but she would also have to pretend to be a loving couple in front of outsiders. It was disgusting. Recently, she didn't even dare to see Qin Chu because she still hadn't figured out her relationship with Huasiqian. So, she really wanted to end things. You don't have to worry about that, it won't take long, because I don't want to spend another minute with you. Ah. I used to think that you were a mysterious person as if you had a lot of secrets. But now, it seems like you do have secrets, and they're secrets that you can't tell anyone. Huasiqian raised his eyebrows slightly and stared at Song Yisher's delicate face. That's weird, how did I know? Song Yisher said proudly. Huasiqian didn't answer, because your eyes betrayed you. I just realized that you only look like a human when you're with Huamin. Otherwise, you're no different from a beast. Huasiqian still didn't say anything. That woman just now. She doesn't look that great, but she looks a little like Huamin. So, the woman in your heart, the woman that even Mo Schwecker can't replace, is Huamin, right? I can't believe you like your own sister. You're a complete pervert. As soon as Song Yisher finished speaking, Huasiqian walked over and grabbed her collar. Have you said enough? His voice was cold. No. The more scared you are, the more I want to say. You're a pervert. Even if you're not related by blood, your surname is still Hua. The fact that you like her so much is enough to prove how perverted you are. Even Huamin doesn't know about this. If she did, she would be so scared. She has a pervert like you by her side. Chem? Just as Song Yisher finished speaking, Huasiqian grabbed him by the collar and threw him out. He fell to the ground with a loud thud. She fell so hard that she felt like her organs were being torn apart. Song Yisher? Don't test my limits? So what if you know? I'm still going to say the same thing. You can go out and say it, but I guarantee that the Song family's reputation will be ruined. You won't be a rich heiress in the future. I'm afraid that even if you become a prostitute, people will think that you're not good enough. A bitch should act like a bitch. Don't pretend to be a detective to figure out what I'm thinking. After speaking, Hua Xichin took out a white handkerchief and wiped his hands. It was as if touching Song Yisher was a dirty thing to do. She said that she knew his secret, but so what? Would he be afraid of people finding out? Would someone as insignificant as Song Yisher be a threat to him? That would be the biggest joke in the world. He should have taught Song Yisher a lesson, but he really didn't have the time to deal with her right now. The war between him and Qin Chu was about to begin. He had to make sure that everything was foolproof. After getting into the car, Wang Shasha sat in the back seat and asked nervously, "President Hua, is your wife angry? Is it because of me?" Chapter 1335. Who do you think you are? Hua Xichin had just gotten into an argument with Song Yisher. Wang Shasha realized that she had said something wrong and immediately shut her mouth. GK Corporation Rick's fiery red Ferrari was parked in front of the GK Corporation, and he took his personal elevator to the top floor. Qin Chu had just finished a morning meeting, so he wasn't surprised to see Rick. He knew that Rick had something important to talk to him about, so he dismissed everyone else. He asked Yang to wait outside the president's office. Qin Chu and Rick's relationship was similar to Gao Rant's. Although they didn't spend much time together, their feelings for each other didn't diminish. Like Qin Chu, Rick was a man of few words. He was even quieter and cooler than Qin Chu. Therefore, many pretty girls who went to Seductive Fox wanted to flirt with this cold and arrogant mixed-blood guy. He just didn't expect that in the end, it would be captured by a novice college student who didn't know anything. "Qin Chu, I have something important to say." Rick was very serious. "You're getting married?" Rick never thought that Qin Chu would have such a funny side to him. He felt as if countless alpacas were running through his heart, but he had to pretend to be calm. "No, it's something else." Qin Chu picked up the Chateau Lafite from the wine cabinet, poured 2 glasses and handed one to Rick. "Don't be so formal, sit down and tell me." Rick held the red wine, but he didn't drink or sit down. He wasn't as calm as Qin Chu, and he was very serious about everything. Last time when Cece asked him to pack a bowl of spicy hot pot, he drove his Ferrari there. He walked in and said to the boss in a serious tone, "Pack a bowl of spicy hot pot, spicy and spicy, no coriander and lotus leaf noodles for the main dish." So, this was Rick's style. "Hua Xichin is going to do something big, you have to be careful." I knew he would do something like this. Qin Chu seemed to have expected this, but, "He seems to have something on us," Rick added. "Blackmail?" Qin Chu was slightly startled. Then Rick took out his phone and took a screenshot of the most important video between Hua Xichin and Suyu. Qin Chu didn't say anything after reading it. With Hua Xichin's cautious personality, there's no way he wouldn't know that there are cameras in the private room. He also knows about our relationship. So, it could be a smokescreen, Qin Chu analyzed. "Yes, but whether it's real or fake, there's no guarantee that he doesn't have it, so you'd better be careful." Qin Chu turned around and looked at the heavy traffic outside the tempered glass. He smiled faintly and said, "What will come will come. All the detours in life are actually roads that must be taken." Rick looked at Qin Chu with admiration. He was clearly not that old, but he was mature despite his young age. He was born to be a supreme king. "Did you find out anything about Huamin's background?" Rick asked. "There's a little clue. On New Year's Eve, my wife received a mysterious gift that was worth a fortune. I checked the address and found that it was shipped from Switzerland, but I couldn't find anything there. I'm pretty sure that her family is overseas. I have a feeling that it's not an ordinary person." Rick analyzed. Qin Chu smiled. "Ordinary people can't afford $120 million worth of white jade gourds. You're saying she gave Huamin a gift worth $120 million? Rick was shocked as well. "The gourds came in a pair, my wife only received one. So I'm guessing that it's her older sister or younger sister. Why can't they be siblings?" Rick asked. Chapter 1336. Because only sisters would have such girly thoughts, half each. Qin Chu was also good at analyzing people's psychology. He had never discussed this with Huamin, but he was sure that Huamin's parents weren't Huamin's parents. Her parents wouldn't mail only half of the gourd to Huamin. Can't twins be twins? Rick was still unconvinced. "I told you, boys wouldn't choose feminine items like the white jade gourd as a gift. This is the favorite item of the Han Dynasty's imperial concubines. Girls like it." Qin Chu felt a headache coming on. Rick really didn't understand women's minds. That was why he always argued with his girlfriend or drove her away. "Rick, how are things going between you and that girl?" Qin Chu rarely asked about Rick's personal life, but Huamin was more interested. "She's still the same. I really don't understand women's minds. She always says one thing and means another. She says she's not angry but then she throws a tantrum. She says she doesn't like him and then... Rick had fallen into a period of frustration over love. Take it slow. You'll understand. Chin Chu patted Rick's shoulder and taught him by example. Do we need more people around Huamin? Recently? I'm afraid that Huasichin. Everyone knew that Huamin was Chin Chu's only weakness. Therefore, Rick was worried that Huasichin would hurt Huamin in order to deal with Chin Chu. It's okay. He won't do anything to Mian. Chin Chu was sure that not only would Huasichin not do anything to Huamin, but he would also be very worried about Huamin. Okay then. Anyways, be careful. Call me if you need anything. Okay, remember to tell me in advance when you get married. Rick walked out of the CEO's office gloomily. He felt that Chin Chu could no longer have a pleasant chat with him. After Rick left, Chin Chu took out his phone and video called Huamin. Huamin immediately picked it up and smiled brightly. She was wearing a white coat and a pair of black-rimmed glasses. She looked exceptionally likable. Dr. Hua, are you free at noon? Are you here to eat? President Chin, I'm sorry, but I need to take some new drugs from the neurology department at noon. How about tonight? I'll treat you to something delicious tonight. Okay, I'll pick you up tonight. Chin Chu gently hung up the phone. Huamin continued to look at the computer and began to carefully screen the new drugs. He didn't even have time to eat at the restaurant. At this moment, the office door was pushed open and N.I. Yang walked in with an exquisite lunchbox. Sister Huamin. Why are you here? When did you come back? Huamin saw N.I. Yang and smiled. I've been back for 2 days. Don't you read the news? As he spoke, N.I. Yang placed the lunchbox on Huamin's desk. I brought you lunch, sis. It's your favorite scallop dumplings. There's so much. I can't finish it. Can you eat with your assistant? You're right. Can you call Jeff for me? N.I. Yang hesitated for a second and then turned around. Chinjia, your boss wants you to eat. Oh, okay. Chinjia walked over from the reception desk outside. Most of the nurses at Southside would scream when they saw N.I. Yang. After all, he was their idol. To avoid trouble, N.I. Yang always wore a black mask, baseball cap and sunglasses when he came to the hospital. He would only take them off when he was in Huamin's office. N.I. Yang's condition was almost healed. Huamin would prescribe some vitamins and Chinese medicine for N.I. Yang to take. Every time, Chinjia was responsible for bringing the medicine to N.I. Yang's office. After a while, the two of them became familiar with each other. Chinjia carefully walked in. Jia, come here and eat with us. Chief, it's okay? I can eat in the cafeteria. Chinjia was obviously embarrassed. Before Huamin could say anything, N.I. Yang interrupted. The food in your cafeteria is like pig feed. Sit down and eat, I bought 2 servings. Chinjia's face turned slightly red upon hearing this. Chapter 1337. Seeing that both Huamin and N.I. Yang insisted, Chinjia sat down and started eating with Huamin. N.I. Yang sat with his legs crossed and sipped on his tea. Chinjia chatted with Huamin as they ate. Thank you for your hard work during Chinese New Year. I see that your schedule is packed. Do you want me to ask President Chin to give you some time off? Sure, I'm really tired. I don't want to go out of town. I'll just stay here for a few days. Then N.I. Yang inadvertently glanced at Chinjia. Huamin noticed this subtle movement. She didn't say anything. Chinjia ate quickly and finished her food in a few bites. Then she stood up and said, Chief, I'll be going now. Aren't you going to drink some water? You won't choke. N.I. Yang picked up the bottle of water he bought and handed it to Chinjia. She lowered her head and took it. Then she picked it up and ran away. Why is Jia acting so weird today? Huamin muttered to himself. Maybe I'm too handsome? N.I. Yang smiled narcissistically. In the afternoon, Huamin went back to his office to pack up after a meeting in the conference room. Chinjia came in and handed him some reports. Chief, these are the orders and receipts for the neurology department this month. Put them here, I'll look at them later. Okay. Little Jia? Huamin said slowly. Yeah. Do you like N.I. Yang? Huamin suddenly asked. Chinjia's face immediately turned red. I don't dare. How can someone like me like N.I. Yang? He's a superstar and I'm just a little girl from the countryside. I don't even dare to think about it. Chinjia was very nervous and kept talking about the difference between her and N.I. Yang. But I feel that N.I. Yang seems to be interested in you too. After Huamin said this, Chinjia was even more speechless. Ever since she delivered the medicine to N.I. Yang, she had been dealing with him. At first she ignored him, but now they would occasionally argue. Actually, she knew that she had fallen in love with a superstar, but she didn't dare to think about it. Na Yang occasionally brought her gifts and sent her WeChat messages, but she didn't dare to reply. She was afraid that she would think too highly of herself. Therefore, she had been avoiding Na Yang. She was even more afraid that Huamin would object, mock, or even fire her if he found out. Director. I won't do it again. Please don't fire me. I know I'm out of my league. People like Na Yang won't like people like me. I'll control myself. I'm sorry. Chen Jie kept apologizing to Huamin. Huamin was so angry that he smiled helplessly. Jie, you don't have to apologize to me. It's a good thing that you have someone you like. No, I don't deserve to like Na Yang. I'm just a fan at most. It's really nothing. Huamian had noticed Chen Jie's lack of confidence in herself from the moment she was promoted to a full-time employee. However, Chen Jie was indeed a very good girl. She was hardworking, proactive, and reliable. Before, Director Li liked her a lot, and now Huamin liked her as well. She was Huamin's right-hand woman. She was about the same age as Na Yang. She wasn't a beauty, but she was definitely cute with big eyes. It was normal that Na Yang liked her. Chen Jie had a good personality and was very kind. Her only flaw was her lack of confidence. Jie, don't be nervous. Listen to me first. The problem isn't that you like Na Yang, it's that Na Yang is pursuing you. He's pursuing me? Chen Jie didn't dare to think about it. Of course. Why would he buy 2 servings of food? It's obvious that he saved one for you. Did he spend too much money? Huamin was so angry that he laughed. After hearing Huamin's words, Chen Jie was slightly stunned. Chapter 1338. But Chen Jie wanted to say something but stopped. No buts. There's no such thing as no one deserves another, as long as you don't know how to cherish another. Jie, you're a kind girl, and Na Yang is also incredibly innocent. I don't want to ask how hard you've been in the past, but from now on, no matter what you decide to do, you have to be happy. Huamin really liked this assistant. She was obedient and never played tricks. Chief, thank you. Tears welled up in Chen Jie's eyes. She didn't think that her chief would view this matter in such a way. It was a pleasant surprise. Okay, don't be so sentimental. You should go back to work. When I have time, I'll talk to Na Yang. Don't think too much about it. After comforting Chen Jie, Huamin went back to packing. After work, Qin Chu came to pick up Huamin and parked her car at South Side. Honey, what are you treating me to? Do you want spicy hot pot skewers? Qin Chu was speechless. I really want to. It's so cold today, it's so nice to eat hot pot skewers, Huamin murmured as she cupped her face in her hands. Okay, let's go eat. Qin Chu really spoiled her. As long as Huamin wanted to eat, he wouldn't complain. The two of them parked their car in front of a big hot pot restaurant on the second ring road. Since it was the beginning of January, there weren't many customers. The two of them sat around a hot pot and ate some hot pot skewers. During the meal, Huamin told Qin Chu about Chen Jie and Na Yang. Qin Chu didn't say anything. Honey, you're not against celebrities dating, right? It's none of my business. Then why aren't you saying anything? I'm just wondering why you were against Jixin and Huang Yu dating, but now you're supporting Na Yang and Chen Jie? Qin Chu didn't know what Huamin thought about these two things. Men and women looked at things from different perspectives. Upon hearing Huang Yu's name, Huamin's heart ached. The night before New Year's Eve, she and Jixin drove to Beishan Public Cemetery to visit Huang Yu. That poor girl. Honey, it has to do with personality, not identity. Yu's too timid and innocent. Her innocence is a bit childish. It's just that she's still a student and hasn't integrated into society, so she can't take a blow. Jixin's young as well, so it's hard for him to maintain an immature relationship because it's too unstable. Na Yang and Chen Jie, on the other hand, have similar experiences. Due to the hardships and misfortunes of their childhood, they're mature. Jie's very meticulous and thoughtful. Whenever I give her a task, she'll do it according to the rules without any excuses. She's very responsible. Na Yang, on the other hand, has never been tainted by the filth of the entertainment industry. If he still likes Jie after seeing so many different kinds of women, it means that there's something about Jie that attracts him. It's not impulsive, it's mature mutual attraction. After hearing Huamin's analysis, Qin Chu gave her a thumbs up. Honey, you should study psychology like Jiang Xiaowei. Your analysis is on point. I'm studying psychology. I'm quite interested in it. After Xiaowei gives birth and goes back to work, I'm going to harass her every day and ask her for advice. Huamin laughed cheerfully. Qin Chu picked up a skewer of cooked shrimp balls and placed it on Huamin's plate. The couple had a great time eating. In the blink of an eye, the 15th day of the first lunar month arrived. At night, the two decided to go back to the Qin Manor for dinner so they had time during the day. Finally, both of them had time off, so Qin Chu suggested that they take Huamin to a hot spring resort in the suburbs. However, Huamin didn't agree. She wasn't in the mood to go to a hot spring resort. "Honey, can you go somewhere with me? I really want to go." "Where?" Chapter 1339. Mingju Temple. Qin Chu froze for a second before nodding his head. After having breakfast at South Hill Manor in the morning, the two of them set off. Mingju Temple was located 60 kilometers east of Sea City. In the depths of a picturesque mountain, there was a 1,000-year-old ancient temple. It was said to have existed since the Tang dynasty, and after several renovations, it was still a small temple deep in the mountains. Even after so many years, it still had incense. On the way there, Huamin told Qin Chu about this legend. "Honey, I heard that there's a Guanyin Bodhisattva statue in Mingju Temple. It's a natural statue that floated up from the South Sea during low tide. Later, people traveled thousands of miles to worship it on this mountain. It's very effective." "You believe in this too?" "When people are desperate, there's nothing wrong with praying to God." Huamin hugged Qin Chu's arm and smiled. The two of them drove for more than an hour before they arrived. Perhaps it was because of the weather, but there weren't many people. Qin Chu and Huamin were both wearing black cashmere coats. They were wearing white scarves and it was obvious that they were a couple style. However, the couple's good looks attracted a lot of attention along the way. Especially Mr. Qin, many passers-by took out their phones and secretly took photos. "Honey, should we buy incense at the entrance?" It was Qin Chu's first time coming to a place like this, so he didn't know what to do. "No, we'll just go inside." "Kind people, please give us some money. Bodhisattvas, please give us some charity." There were many beggars at the entrance of the temple, holding iron basins and kneeling there. Huamin took out a lot of 10 yuan in change. Each of them gave 20 to 30 yuan. "Aren't you afraid they're scammers?" Qin Chu hugged her shoulder. "Even if they're scammers, it's fine. It's not easy to kneel here and beg in the snow." Huamin decided from the bottom of his heart that he was going to do a good deed for the day. Usually when people called her Mary Sue, she would laugh. Perhaps some people had limited intelligence and couldn't tell what a real Mary Sue was. The kind of person who would quibble for a mad dog when it bit someone or complain about killing a fly when it was killed, that was the Mary Sue, okay? Huamin felt that he was not a busybody. Like Lei Feng, he was eager to help everyone. She only helped those she cared about. With Huamin's personality, she was no longer a Mary Sue. At most, she had the right values. As a human being, to live in this world, one must first have the right values. But just because she had good values, it didn't mean that she was a saint. But today she was going to be a Mary Sue praying for blessings, because she came here today with 3 wishes. At the foot of the mountain, looking at the 1,700 steps, it was just like the stairway to heaven. Qin Chu was still puzzled. "Do you want to take the cable car up?" Huamin couldn't help but laugh. "Do you think this is a tourist attraction, Mr. Qin? There's no cable car, we have to walk up?" "Okay, I'll take it as a workout, let's go." Qin Chu tightly held Huamin's hand and was about to walk up. "You can walk up. What about you?" Qin Chu turned around and looked at Huamin curiously. "I want to kowtow every 3 steps. "You're crazy?" Qin Chu was a little incredulous. 1,700 steps with such a high slope, kowtowing every 3 steps, wouldn't it be tiring? "Honey, I came here today with 3 wishes. I hope that I can do something to move the gods." After speaking, Huamin let go of Qin Chu's hand. After walking up 3 steps, she knelt down on both knees and put her palms together. "Mian, you don't have to do this." Qin Chu looked at her with some heartache. He seemed to already know what her 3 wishes were. Chapter 1340. After knowing each other for so many years, Qin Chu knew Huamin's temper very well. No one could change her mind once she decided on something. Qin Chu's heart ached for his wife. Huamin walked up another 3 steps and knelt down. Qin Chu also knelt down beside her. Huamin turned her head in surprise. "Honey, I'll be with you. No matter what you do, I'll be with you." Qin Chu's eyes were filled with love. Qin Chu was an atheist. He didn't believe in heaven, earth, ghosts or gods. However, he believed in Huamin. As long as it was something Huamin wanted to do, he was willing to accompany her. Kowtowing every 3 steps on the 1,700 steps wasn't just for show. Huamin's heart was filled with gratitude. It was her idea to come to Mingju Temple this time. She didn't want Qin Chu to end up like her. However, she also understood Qin Chu's temper. No one could change his mind once he decided on something. Just like that, the couple slowly walked up the steps in the cold weather. Passers-by who happened to pass by all looked at them in surprise. They weren't ascetics, so they didn't need to kowtow every 3 steps on the difficult path of Buddha worship. After walking for a long time, Huamin felt exhausted, but she still persisted, all for the sake of her heart's desire. Qin saw that Huamin was exhausted, so he intimately supported her. Then the two of them walked up the steps together, 1 step at a time. By the time they reached the top of the mountain, 5 hours had already passed. They walked from morning to afternoon. Ordinary people didn't have this kind of perseverance. Fortunately, Huamin was patient and Qin was by her side. When the two of them reached the top of the mountain, they felt as if everything had opened up. Huamin's legs were trembling and she couldn't even stand properly. There was still about a kilometer to go from the top of the mountain to the temple. Without another word, Qin picked up Huamin horizontally. "Darling, put me down. I can walk by myself." Huamin felt sorry for Qin. He was also very tired, but he still had to carry her. He was simply looking for a beating. But no matter how much Huamin protested, Qin didn't say a word. He silently carried her all the way to the entrance of the temple. The two of them held the free incense sticks at the entrance and kowtowed one by one. Then, Huamin invested a few hundred yuan of incense money into each virtuous incense. Finally, the two of them arrived at the wishing tree. The 100-year-old tree stood there, graceful, with a hint of green in the cold wind. There were many red prayer ribbons hanging on the branches. Huamin spent 20 renminbi on 2 stakes. He gave one to Qin and kept the other for himself. "Write it down. I heard that you can make 3 wishes in front of the Bodhisattva." Huamin smiled innocently. Then he hid to the side and picked up a pen to write slowly. Qin smiled but didn't say anything. He also picked up a prayer ribbon and walked to the other side. Soon the two of them walked under the tree with the prayer ribbons. "Darling, what did you write?" Huamin curiously wanted to see Qin prayer ribbon. "Didn't you tell me not to let others see it? It probably won't work." Qin lips curled up. Huamin pouted. Okay. Mr. Qin, I won't read it. Let's go put it on." Huamin playfully climbed up the tree to make her prayer ribbon higher. Luckily it wasn't high, or else. Qin found a place with fewer prayer ribbons and put it on. "Where are we going now?" Qin held Huamin's hand and asked gently. "I want to ask for a lot." Huamin hugged Qin and continued to act cute. Chapter 1341. Okay. Qin nodded and accompanied Huamin all the way to the divination hall. Apparently there was a very old woman here who was very accurate in interpreting divination. However, when they arrived they saw a little monk sweeping the floor at the door. "Little master, can I ask for a divination stick?" "Yes. But my master isn't here today, so I can't interpret it in detail." "Oh, I see. Do you want a divination stick?" the little monk asked with a broom in his hand. "Sure, how much is it?" "Divination sticks are free, my master only costs 1 yuan, but he's not here today, so you can get a divination stick for free." The little monk was very enthusiastic and ran over to get the stick holder. The masters of Mingju Temple were indeed very simple and not commercialized. It wasn't the kind of place where everything cost money. Divination sticks were free, but 1 yuan for interpretation. This kind of place was probably extremely rare in the country. "Honey, do you want to get one too?" Huamin tilted her head and asked Qin. "No, just get one." "You represent me." Qin smiled. Huamin pursed her lips and smiled. Then she knelt in front of the Bodhisattva and piously shook the stick holder. Finally, with a potch sound, a bamboo stick fell out. The little monk picked it up for her and handed it to Huamin. When Huamin saw the bamboo stick clearly, her heart skipped a beat. It was clearly written on it, "Bad lot." There was a simple poem beside it. "The 79th lot, the flowers in March flow with the water, the wind blows thousands of sorrowful hearts. Try to see the spring fade and autumn fade, and in the blink of an eye one's hair turns white." Qin saw that Huamin's expression wasn't right. He took a step forward and looked at the bamboo stick in her hand. His expression also changed. The little monk glanced at the two of them and said, "Benefactor, this is a bad lot. No matter what you ask for, it's a bad omen. Huamin, why don't you get another one?" Qin slowly said to comfort Huamin. "No, it's fate, maybe that's it." Huamin didn't need to ask a master to interpret it. He could understand it with a single glance. Sad words like withered flower and fallen leaf were definitely bad omens. Huamin suddenly thought of the old master that his grandmother had brought him to. He had once predicted that there would be a great calamity in his life. From the looks of it, the great calamity was about to arrive. Huamin was not a particularly superstitious person, so he did not particularly care about these things. However, she had been feeling uneasy recently. Nothing had happened, but she felt restless as if something was going to happen. It was the same for working in the hospital and sleeping at home. This feeling was especially bad. She had never felt this way before. Even during the middle school exams and college entrance exams, she had never felt this way. Hwamin carefully placed the bamboo stick back into the pot. He took out a few hundred pieces and placed them in the merit box beside him. Then she walked out arm in arm with Chin-chu. You don't have to worry so much about these things. You still have to rely on yourself for a lot of things, Chin-chu comforted her. I know, honey, you don't have to worry about me. I'm very strong. Anyways, no matter what happens in the future, no matter how difficult it is, it won't be able to defeat the two of us. You have to remember there's only hope as long as we're alive, so we have to work hard. Chin-chu nodded. He pulled Hwamin into his arms and hugged her tighter. The couple stood at the top of the mountain and looked at the scenery under the boundless white snow. It was a unique scene. Hwamin leaned into Chin-chu's arms and tightly hugged his waist. She counted out every 3 steps. Her knees were already red and swollen, and her forehead was slightly scratched. She only wanted to move the gods. She had come here with 3 wishes. Chapter 1342. First, she wanted to be with Chin-chu forever. Second, she wanted to see her real family in her lifetime. Third, she wanted to give birth to Chin-chu's baby. This was the biggest pressure on Hwamin's heart, as well as her strongest wish. She wasn't a wishy-washy person. She had never mentioned it to Chin-chu, but she had always kept it in her heart. If there really are gods and bodhisattvas in this world, then I hope you can hear my wish. I hope you can give me a little bit of strength to make my dreams come true, seeing that I'm so pious. Hwamin, don't ask for wealth in my life. I just want to be safe and sound. She and Chin-chu didn't have that much money. They didn't have that much power and status. She didn't want to be famous. As long as they didn't leave each other, Hwamin didn't know if this could become a reality, but it was what she wanted. After a whole day of torment, the two of them were tired and hungry. They walked down the mountain and drove back to the city. They were starving like dogs. When they passed by a home-cooked restaurant, Hwamin couldn't help but ask Chin-chu to stop the car by the side. The two of them ordered a few stir-fried dishes in this small restaurant. They ate with great relish, perhaps because they were too hungry. Jishin had already returned to New Zealand. When he first returned, he remembered to call Hwamin every day to tell him that he was safe. Later on, he got busy and forgot about it. Days passed, and in the blink of an eye, the first month of the lunar calendar had passed. The new year was officially over. At the beginning of February, Southside held a meeting. Hwamin took the initiative to resign as the president of the Hua Genetics Association. It shocked everyone, but President Wu didn't ask much and immediately approved it. Hua Sichin didn't understand and sent Hwamin a WeChat message that day. Why are you resigning from the Hua Genetics Association? Because I'm too busy. I can ask President Wu to reduce your workload. It's okay. I like my job. I want to do what a neurologist should do. I don't want to manage a genetic association like a businessman. Haha. But are you also the person in charge of the Mian Foundation? Hua Sichin laughed. It's different. How is it different? Hua Sichin was determined to get an answer. My husband established Mian Genetics for me. It's our family's genetic association. As for the Hua Corporation, it has nothing to do with me anymore. Oh, so I'm an outsider to you? Hua Sichin sneered. Hwamin remained silent, but the answer was obvious. That night, Hua Sichin withdrew the Hua family genetics. Shocking Southside, Hwamin knew that he was angry, so he removed the gene. In order to ensure the continuation of Southside's benefits for the patients, Hwamin announced that the Mian Foundation would be invested into Southside that very night. President Wu didn't say anything. He allowed Hwamin to make the decision herself. It was obvious that Hwamin was beginning to draw a line between himself and Hua Sichin. On the night of the snooker celebrity night, Hua Sichin whispered something into Chin-chu's ear, causing him to lose the match. Although Chin-chu didn't tell Hwamin the truth, she vaguely guessed that it had something to do with her. Plus, she had been feeling uneasy lately and she began to understand. She needed to get rid of the dangers in her life. Therefore, Hua Sichin became the first person she needed to get rid of. However, Hwamin didn't expect that her little actions would accelerate Hua Sichin's plot. That night, while Chin-chu was working overtime, Hwamin was watching TV at home. A piece of news shocked her. Mayor Song officially granted the piece of land that he promised to GK to the Hua Corporation. Hwamin picked up her phone and was just about to call Chin-chu when she heard the door open. Chin-chu was back. President Hua, Did the Hua Corporation make any big moves recently? Didn't you guys see it? Hua Xiqin answered nonchalantly. President Hua, didn't you say that GK already decided to own that piece of land? Why did they suddenly give it to the Hua Corporation? Was there a secret behind this that no one knew about? I think you should ask my father-in-law about this question, Lin Fan said. President Hua, did you enter the entertainment industry because you want to compete with Presidents Su and Qinchu? What are you talking about? I'm a businessman. Everything I do is to make money. No one has anything against money. Hua Xiqin sneered. President Hua, your father passed away less than a year ago. Don't you think it's inappropriate for you to dress so brightly? Do you think it's appropriate for me to not wear clothes to show my respect for my father? Hua Xiqin retorted. The reporters were at a loss for words. President Hua, I heard that you've removed the whole corporation from South Side. Why did you do that? I'm not working with you anymore. There's no reason. President Hua, I heard that you and your wife, Song Yisher, have a strained relationship. Is there a third party? The reporters always picked the most difficult and embarrassing questions to ask. Chapter 1344. If that's the case, do you think my father-in-law will give me the land? Then Hua Xiqin added, my wife and I love each other very much. Thank you for your attention. In front of the TV, Song Yisher was so angry that she wanted to smash the TV. This man was lying through his teeth. What did he mean by love? Their relationship was like that of enemies who killed their parents. If murder wasn't illegal, they would have stabbed each other countless times. Cousin, do you think Hua Xiqin suddenly wants to start an entertainment industry so that he can pick up girls more easily? The scumbag. Song Yishuan guessed. Impossible, he's starting an entertainment company because he wants to compete with Su Yu and Qin Chu. Song Yisher had a clearer understanding of this point. Right now, only Imperial Star and GK could start an entertainment company. Hua Xiqin wanted to join them. He didn't want to make money, he wanted to get a share of the pie, or he wanted to declare war. Isn't that suicidal? How can he be a match for Qin Chu and Su Yu? Song Yishuan froze. Don't underestimate Hua Xiqin, he's very vicious and very cunning. Song Yisher didn't think that he would lose. Instead, she began to worry about Qin Chu. At this thought, Song Yisher picked up her purse and stood up. Shen, you can go back first. I have something to do outside. Song Yisher hadn't been to GK in a long time, and when she appeared in front of the president's office again, she was surprised. When she appeared again, Assistant Yang felt awkward. Miss Song, our president, isn't here. You can go back. Assistant Yang didn't know who Song Yisher was, and he knew that his president didn't like Song Yisher, so he directly closed the door. Impossible. President Qin must be here. I have something to talk to him about. Miss Song, you're putting me in a difficult position. Assistant Yang was about to argue with Song Yisher when Qin Chu finished a high-level meeting and walked back. Coincidentally, Qin Chu? Song Yisher was very excited to see Qin Chu again. What's the matter? Qin Chu remained indifferent. Yes, I really have something to tell you. Just give me 5 minutes. There's no need. Let's go back. Qin Chu wouldn't even give Song Yisher 5 minutes. He knew that time was precious and he didn't want to waste it on someone who didn't matter to him. It was meaningless. Seeing that Qin Chu didn't want to talk to her, Song Yisher didn't give up and shouted behind him. Qin Chu, Hua Xiqin is going to deal with you. Be careful, he's very cunning. Thank you for the reminder, Qin Chu said without even turning his head. Then he went straight into the office and closed the door. He forcefully kept Song Yisher out of the room. Even Assistant Yang was feeling awkward. However, Song Yisher didn't think much of it. She even shamelessly said to Yang, you too, you have to remind President Qin that Hua Xiqin isn't easy to deal with. If he needs help, he can come to me at any time. I'll always be on Qin Chu's side. Yang weakly replied, then can you ask your dad to return the Land King to GK first? Song Yisher, the Land King thing isn't that simple. My dad was threatened by that bastard. Anyways, he didn't do it willingly. Miss Song, you should go back. It's cold here, don't catch a cold. Yang didn't want to waste time talking to her. Song Yisher angrily turned around and left. When it was almost noon, Yang rushed into the president's office. Sir, I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? The bad news? The bad news is, Mo Schweger jumped ship and went to Hua Entertainment. She took a lot of our newbies with her. Annie Liang was also taken away by her. Now we only have an Yang left. What's the good news? Qin Chu asked calmly. Chapter 1345. The good news is, If they leave, they have to pay double the penalty. Our company will make a small profit. Qin Chu was speechless. Yang was very nervous, afraid that the president would be angry. However, Qin Chu didn't. He wouldn't blame his employees for this sudden crisis. Tell the executives at GK Entertainment that we're having a meeting in 5 minutes. Yes, sir. 5 minutes later, Qin Chu sat in the center of the conference room and looked at the 12 executives in silence. What do you guys think? Qin Chu looked around and slowly asked. President Qin, I think the most important thing right now is to release a statement from the PR team. That way we'll have an advantage in public opinion. What do you mean? Qin Chu continued to ask. Smear the artists who left. Say that they betrayed us and were bought by the whole corporation. As long as we misrepresent them, we'll win in public opinion. Then we'll hire some ghostwriters to spread the news online. They might be boycotted by the public. This way they'll know that betraying us won't end well. This executive's suggestion was good, but it went against the bottom line of morality. Qin Chu found it shameful that Huamian would maliciously defame the artists who had left. I don't want to do that. Although the artists who left broke their contracts, they did make a lot of money for the company in the past year. They still have to make a living in this industry. I don't want to kill them all. Qin Chu and Hua Xiqin didn't want to involve innocent artists. Mo Xuanya was Hua Xiqin's lover, so it was inevitable that she broke her contract. She instigated the others to leave, so they were all victims. There was no need to smear their names. Plus, it wasn't the style of a big corporation. It would make them look cheap. Do you have any other suggestions? Qin Chu continued to ask. President Qin, what we lack right now are celebrities. Should we think of a way to poach other artists? This isn't something that can be done in a short period of time. We need to take it slow. You're right? The executive scratched his head and didn't dare to say more. President Qin, why don't we send a lawyer's letter first? According to the contract, even if they breached it, they still have to go through legal procedures. Well, that's fine. Go ahead and arrange it. Send a lawyer's letter first. Qin Chu nodded. The meeting lasted for more than an hour. When they left, Qin Chu was in a bad mood. A large number of artists leaving was a fatal blow to an entertainment company. Also, there would be all kinds of speculations and scandals about GK on the internet. Although GK was a big corporation and didn't expect the entertainment company to make money, it was still important to maintain its image. Back then he started GK Entertainment because he wanted to declare war on Suyu. Now that Hua Xiqin had interfered, did that mean that a war had begun? Qin Chu returned to the office and started to deal with all kinds of things. He also had to do interviews with important media. Huamin was the last to know. She spent the entire morning assisting the orthopedics department and performing a difficult surgery. His phone was turned off for 4 whole hours. As an assistant doctor, he naturally had to take care of every patient. By the time Huamin came out of the operating room, it was already 12:30 in the afternoon. She was a bit hungry, so she changed out of her clothes and wanted to go to the cafeteria. When she was halfway there, she realized that her phone had not been turned on. She waited for her to turn it on. Her WeChat was about to explode. All kinds of messages came in. There were even a lot of phone calls from unknown numbers. Chapter 1346. There were also countless text messages, all of which went something like this. Hello, Mrs. Qin, I'm a reporter from Nandu Daily. Can you accept my phone interview? What do you think about the crisis your husband's company is facing? Does GK have any major countermeasures? What's going on? Huamin muttered to herself, confused. She didn't know what was going on until she opened her best friend's WeChat group. Zhu Lingling took screenshots of the news and showed them to Huamin. Jiang Xiaowei was also very worried. Mian. Hua Xiqin is digging his own grave. I can't believe he did this to Qin Chu. You have to teach him a lesson, Jiang Xiaowei said. Hua Xiqin, tell Mr. Qin to be more ruthless and kill that bastard Hua Xiqin. He's so shameless. How could he let his mistress Mo Sasa play such dirty tricks? I really look down on him. Zhu Lingling cursed viciously. Huamian lowered her head and carefully read the eye-catching headlines on the news. GK Entertainment is facing a major crisis. Artists are jumping ship to the whole corporation. Is Enai Yang the only one left? Only then did Huamin realize that Hua Xiqin's Hua Entertainment had already started poaching people. GK was the biggest victim, while Suyu's Imperial Star remained unscathed. GK's artists, on the other hand, had all left, leaving only Enai Yang. This kind of scandal was unprecedented. When Hua Xiqin played dirty, he was really dirty. Huamin frowned slightly and was about to call Qin Chu. Just as he was about to call Huamian, someone grabbed him by the arm and dragged him to a quiet corner in the hallway. Sister Huamin, and Yang took off his mask. Why are you here? I just came from the company. What's the situation? Huamin asked anxiously. Indeed. I'm the only one left at the company. I don't know when Mo Schwecker started doing something, but everyone left. She didn't even let the newcomers go. President Qin was in a bad mood and just called for an emergency meeting. Huamin didn't say anything after hearing this. Sister Huamin, don't worry, I won't leave. As long as President Qin treats you well, I'll stay at GK, you're my sister. And Yang immediately expressed his loyalty upon seeing Huamin's bad mood. I know. Thank you for being by our side at a time like this. I'm not the kind of person who forgets about benefits. No matter how good the whole corporation's offer is, I won't go. Don't worry, this is only temporary. President Qin is so powerful, he'll definitely find a way to deal with it, and Yang comforted. I'm sure he'll take care of it. Huamin raised her head, full of confidence in Qin Chu. Huamin was no longer in the mood to eat, so she went back to her office in low spirits. Qin Jie and Yang met up on the rooftop of the hospital. Chief Hua must be in a bad mood, I'm so worried about her. Don't worry, my sister is very strong-willed. She's like a cockroach that won't die. Qin Jie burst out laughing. She looked very cute when she laughed, and Yang looked at her affectionately. Being a celebrity may seem like a glamorous job, but it's not for humans. We often stay up late and most people are in poor health. The good thing is that I'm at GK, and my sister and President Qin have been taking good care of me. They don't give me much work and my role is very important. I plan on working for a few more years, but I'll quit once I get married. Quit? What? Qin Jie didn't understand. Because I'm tired, mentally tired. Qin Jie didn't say anything. When the time comes, I want to open a bookstore. I want to buy all the books I didn't get to read when I was young and read them slowly. I also want to live a peaceful life with the person I love every day. Upon hearing this, Qin Jie's face flushed slightly. Jie? And Yang suddenly called her name. Yeah. Chapter 1347. If one day I'm no longer a star and all the glory is gone, will you still be by my side? And Yang asked seriously. He didn't dare to look into Qin Jie's eyes. He didn't know what kind of answer this girl would give him. Qin Jie burst out laughing. What are you laughing at? And Yang was confused by her laughter. I'm laughing at how smart you are. I didn't even agree to be with you and you're asking me about the future. Aren't you a little too two-faced? Are you trying to trick me? And Yang coughed, feeling slightly awkward. It seemed like Huamin was right, this little assistant was too smart. But it didn't work. Seeing that Yang didn't respond, Qin Jie looked into the distance and continued, I'm a stubborn person. If I like someone, I'll be with you forever. So, no matter if you're a star or an ordinary person, as long as you're willing, I'll always be by your side. Upon hearing this, Yang's eyes lit up with ecstasy. He couldn't hide the joy on his face as he held onto Qin Jie's hand. Jie, you should go now, there are a lot of people in the hospital right now, and it's not safe if someone takes a picture of us. The company is in a crisis right now and we can't burden Chief Hua and the others. Perhaps because she was shy, Qin Jie turned around and ran away as soon as she finished speaking. However, Yang was still very happy that he was able to win the heart of this kind girl. Imperial Star Headquarters, President Su, did you see the news? Emichim, should we do something? The Vice President of Imperial Star asked anxiously. What do you think we should do? I mean, should we keep an eye on our own artists? We don't want the whole corporation to make a move on us. He won't, his target is Qin Chu. Suyu was certain that Hua Xiqian's target was Qin Chu, so he wouldn't dare to do anything to him. If Suyu made a move, Hua Xiqian wouldn't be able to handle it. What Star Emperor needed to do now was to stay calm and observe the situation. Suyu's stance was clear. He was neutral and would not participate in the war between Hua Xiqian and Qin Chu. However, if someone dared to harm Huamin, it would be a different story. Some people said that Huamin was Qin Chu's bottom line. However, no one knew that Huamin was also Suyu's bottom line. Huamin's mind was in a mess at Southside. After much consideration, he decided to call Mr. Qin. So, she made a video call. Qin Chu picked it up almost instantly as well. Hello Mr. Qin, are you in a good mood today? Not bad. Qin Chu smiled. I saw the news. Are you okay? I'm fine. Thank you for your concern. Qin Chu joked. You're still in the mood to joke around? Looks like you're really fine. Have you eaten yet? I have. Don't worry about me, just focus on your work. Huamin lied, not wanting Qin Chu to worry. Okay, then I'll pick you up after work. Let's go back to the manor for dinner. Mom and Dad miss us. Okay, I'll wait for you. Huamin smiled. After hanging up, Qin Chu turned around, his gaze cold again. Let's continue with the meeting. He sat down, picked up a thick stack of documents and started working again. After the sweet call with Mr. Qin, Huamin felt a lot more relaxed. After all, her husband was a god. Therefore, this crisis was nothing and she didn't need to worry about it. Just as she was about to go out and find something to eat, she saw someone at the door. Dr. Hua? We meet again. Huamin didn't say anything. Instead, she looked at the man across from her with hostility. Chapter 1348. What are you doing here? Huamin wasn't happy to see Jiang Yi at a time like this. She really didn't like this arrogant superstar. Yang told her that he and Qin Chu had already discussed the terms and conditions of joining GK. However, for some reason he suddenly signed with Su Yu's Imperial Star. Huamin hated people who went back on their word the most. Dr. Hua, I want to talk to you. Sorry, I don't have anything to talk to you about. Huamin didn't want to talk to people like Jiang Yi. She felt like it was a waste of her time. When Huamin walked past Jiang Yi, suddenly he said meaningfully, I heard that GK is in trouble. All the artists left. Oh no, I made a mistake and Yang is the only one left. Huamin stopped in her tracks and frowned slightly. She looked at Jiang Yi angrily. So, you're here to gloat and kick me when I'm down? No, I'm here to point you in the right direction. To be exact, I'm here to point your husband's company in the right direction. So, are you sure you don't want to talk to me? Jiang Ye's words were full of meaning, and the look in his eyes was complicated. Huamin could ignore him, but when she heard that it had something to do with GK, she began to waver. Come with me, this isn't the place to talk. After speaking, Jiang Yi put his hands in his pockets and walked towards the rooftop of the hospital. For some reason, Huamian followed him upstairs. She really wanted to help Qin Chu. If he really did have a way, perhaps he could solve GK's crisis. The wind on the rooftop was strong, especially in the middle of winter. Huamian's white coat looked very thin. Jiang Yi took off his leopard print coat and handed it to her. Here, put it on. You're freezing. No thank you, Mr. Jiang. My time is precious. Just say what you want to say. Huamin rejected her outright. Except for Qin Chu, she didn't wear other men's clothes because she hated skin-to-skin contact. This was also Huamin's biggest obsession with cleanliness as a doctor. Jiang Yi had no choice but to take his clothes back and put them on himself. He then took out a cigarette from his pocket and put it in his mouth. To tell you the truth, I can join GK. Didn't you sign with Imperial Star? Huamin was slightly surprised. I'm working with Imperial Star on a single project. I've already finished my part of the film, so I can sign with another company at any time. Not only can I sign with them, but I can also bring 5 A-listers, at least 6 B-listers and countless C-listers. I can have as many as I want. Plus there will be a ton of newbies. This way GK's problem will be solved. What are your conditions? Huamin looked at Jiang Yi calmly. She would never believe that a free lunch would fall into her lap, nor would she believe that Jiang Yi would threaten her with a huge sum of money. Otherwise he would have gone straight to Qin Chu. Why would he bother her? Smart. Jiang Yi really liked Huamin's intelligence. Some men didn't like smart women because they didn't like smart, self-righteous women. However, Huamin's intelligence was always perfect, making people admire and respect her from the bottom of their hearts. So, what are your conditions, Mr. Jiang? Huamin continued to ask. Jiang Yi took out the unlit cigarette from his mouth, put it behind his ear and smiled. Have sex with me. Before Huamin could respond, he added, just once will do. Jiang Ye's feelings for Huamin were very simple. Even Mo Schwecker could tell. Chapter 1349. Ever since that night at the KTV, ever since he didn't know about Huamin's identity, he had been interested in her. However, Jiang Ye's interest was different from Su Yu's. Su Yu liked her from the bottom of his heart. Jiang Yi wanted to conquer her. He had seen this woman's arrogance countless times. So, he really wanted to see what this cold and arrogant woman would look like when he pressed her under his body. It was a desire that only men had to conquer. So to Jiang Yi, sleeping with Huamin was his biggest wish. He wasn't naive enough to ask Huamin to divorce him. They were already so old and it wasn't like they were in a relationship. There was no need to be so serious. After he said this, Huamin laughed. When he saw Huamin laugh, he thought that she agreed. His mood instantly improved. Do you think you can sing? Just once is enough? You've listened to too many of Yang Zhongwei's songs, haven't you? Jiang Yi, do you think something like this can stump my husband? You're even threatening me? You're so childish. Have you stopped drinking? Jiang Yi, sleep with you? If I lit a fire behind you with a lighter, Would you be able to go up into the sky? Do you really think you're a rocket? Jiang Yi, since you're so brainless and said such stupid things, I won't stoop to your level, but I have a suggestion for you. Next time, don't stop when you leave the house. After speaking, Huamin turned around and left. It was a complete waste of her precious time listening to him bullshit. Did he really think that she was a little white rabbit, a Mary Sue who would cry and beg for help or sacrifice herself? She wasn't that dumb. She knew how to weigh the pros and cons of a situation. It had been a long time since she scolded someone like this. Huamin felt especially good, as if all the bad luck she had been holding in for the day was gone. After being scolded, Jiang Yi didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed. It turned out that this woman was such a weirdo when it came to scolding people. No wonder Suyu fell in love with her. Interesting, what an interesting woman. Jiang Yi stood on the rooftop and laughed to himself. When they got off work, Qin Chu came to pick Huamin up. The two drove back to the Qin manor. Huamin didn't ask about the company, so she trusted that Qin Chu would take care of it. Inside the Qin manor, when the two elders of the Qin family saw that their son and daughter-in-law had returned, they were especially enthusiastic. Mrs. Qin handed a cup of rose tea to Huamian. It's cold outside, isn't it? Have some flower tea. Thank you, Mom. Huamian sat next to Mrs. Qin and chatted casually. Qin Chu, Qin Chu's? Est. Chu, I know everything about the company. Dad, it's not a big deal. Don't worry, I can take care of it. I believe in your abilities. I just think it's too tiring for you. I think it's better to sell GK Entertainment. We can focus on real estate and jewelry. We don't need that little bit of money. The older generation was old-fashioned. Qin Chu's father didn't think that running an entertainment company was the right way to go, so he wanted to use this opportunity to persuade his son to give up. That. I understand what you're thinking, but it's not what you think. Entertainment is profitable and we can diversify. Not only can we invest in movies and TV series, but we can also promote more celebrities. We can also expand our endorsements and perform in many commercial projects. Anyways, I'm quite interested. Seeing that Qin Chu was insistent, Qin Chu's father didn't say anything else. At dinner, the housekeeper made a lot of delicious dishes. The four of them sat around the table and ate. Lady Qin kept putting food into Huamin's bowl. Mian, eat more. You're preparing for pregnancy, you need to eat better. I'll do it myself, Mom. Huamin was a little embarrassed and lowered his head. I hope you guys have your own children soon. Your mom and I aren't young anymore. I don't know if we'll have the chance to see our grandchildren grow up. I've been dreaming about it. Qin Chu's father drank a few more glasses of white wine and spoke his mind. Dad. Qin Chu immediately reminded him. He didn't want Huamin to feel burdened. Chapter 1350. Dad. I'm sorry. I'll work hard. Huamin felt a little guilty. Although she knew that giving birth wasn't because of her body, she still felt burdened. After all, she hadn't contributed much since she came to this family. Qin Chu, on the other hand, had never mistreated her. He fed her well, gave her a good place to live, and never mistreated her in the slightest. What nonsense are you talking about? We're not senile. We know that this isn't your fault. We just feel that fate hasn't arrived yet. I hope that while our bodies are still strong, we can help you take care of your grandchildren, or granddaughters. Anything is fine. Qin Chu's father comforted Huamin. It was already 8 p.m. by the time they left after dinner. On the way, Qin Chu tilted his head and said to Huamin, "Don't take my dad's words to heart. He likes to nag when he's drunk." I won't. I understand how he feels. Emichim, you promised him that you'd work hard, so when we get back, don't say that. You're so annoying. Huamin knew that Mr. Qin was going to turn yellow again, so he hit him in advance. What I meant was that when we get back, we need to educate ourselves on how to be good parents to a newborn. Huamin, so? Honey, why did you hit me so angrily? Qin Chu laughed. How do you have the time to talk to me? Look at how difficult your company is right now. It's nothing. It's not worth mentioning. Qin Chu spent the entire day at the company researching the PR crisis. He didn't find it particularly troublesome. There was another reason why Qin Chu didn't listen to his father and give up on the entertainment business. He started GK Entertainment because he wanted to compete with Suyu. If he sold it now, wouldn't he be admitting defeat? He couldn't admit defeat to anyone, whether it was Suyu or Hua Xiqian. He had to win because only by becoming the strongest he could protect his wife better. He always knew how outstanding Huamin was, and he always knew how many people wanted her. He couldn't tell her, but he had to be careful of anyone or anything that could ruin their relationship. This was the pressure of being a man. just like how he once joked with Huamian that the women who were after him were easy to deal with, Huamian thought. And the men who have their eyes on you are all hardcore fans, so they are especially hard to deal with? Although it was a joke, it was the truth. The next morning GK released a statement that GK Entertainment would continue to operate and wouldn't be affected by anyone's departure. At the same time, GK's elites Huamin, Tif's contract. Also Huamin's, GK's and Stars's additions Hua and Sandhua, Hua, S's Huamian, S's of the of Hua of Teleles Hua was immediately Hua. No one seemed to be paying attention to Mo Schweyer's escape. At a press conference at GK headquarters, Qin Chu attended and accepted the media's interview. President Qin, more than 200,000 people have signed up for the star of GK. Did you expect it to be this popular? Yes. As expected, Mr. Qin was still as arrogant as ever. It made the young reporter feel awkward. President Qin, will GK fully ban the artists who betrayed you in the past? Chapter 1351. No, I thank them for everything they've done for GK, and I wish them the best of luck in the future. These were Qin Chu's heartfelt words. He didn't need to ban those artists, he was generous enough to do things. After all, he wasn't on the same level as those artists. President Qin, a new year has begun. Do you have any wishes this year? Do you plan on working on bigger projects? Qin Chu lowered his head and was silent for a few seconds. Then he replied in all seriousness, I hope I won't be so busy in the new year. I'll take some time off to go to California with my wife. Why go to California? Is there a special reason? The reporter asked. Because we both love the song Hotel California. I promised her that I'd take her to see the sunrise and sunset in California. Wow. President Qin, you love your wife so much. Are you planning on having a baby this year? It all depends on my wife's mood, Qin Chu replied cleverly. Qin Chu's interview tortured a bunch of single people. It also cleverly resolved the crisis of an artist leaving. When Huamin saw the video on his phone at Southside, he felt his heart melt. He even remembered what happened at Hotel California. Huamin thought he only said it casually, Girl, did you see the live stream? Your husband is so handsome, why can't he be my man? In the WeChat group, Zhu Lingling exclaimed. What would you do if I took a screenshot of what you said and sent it to Captain Gao? Huamin laughed. Fuck, don't you dare, I'll skin you alive. I'm afraid Captain Gao will skin you alive before you skin me alive. Huamin said proudly. There's a type of husband called Huamin's husband. Jiang Xiaowei sent this message. Dr. Jiang, you're so funny. Zhu Lingling laughed hysterically. Enough you two, that's enough teasing. Huamin continued to laugh. We haven't seen each other for a while. I miss you guys so much. Let's meet up sometime, Xiaowei suggested. Okay. Wait for me to fly back. I'll be there in the morning the day after tomorrow. You two can decide on the time. Huamin, how about the night after tomorrow after I get off work? Jiang Xiaowei, okay. Zhu Lingling, it's settled then. See you later. After chatting with the two women, Huamin sent a big hug to Qin Chu. Huamin, honey, you're so handsome today. Qin Chu, when am I not handsome? Huamin, can you not be so proud? Qin Chu, is this your first day meeting me? How could he ask such a stupid question? Huamin, hubby, that was a beautiful counterattack. Love you. Qin Chu, love doesn't come with words. Huamin, facepalm, here we go again. Qin Chu, love is felt with your heart. Honey, why are you so shy? Did I say something wrong? Huamin, idiot, are you messing with me again? Qin Chu, I probably have to work overtime today. If you get off work early, you can come to the company. Huamin, Emicham, I want to check if any of the tens of thousands of girls in the audition are interested in you. Qin Chu, okay, you're welcome to check on me. Huamin, if I find out, you'll be kneeling on a durian. Qin Chu, if you can't find out, I'll have to tie you up with a belt again tonight. Huamin's face turned red at the mention of the belt. He was so shy. Inside the CEO's office at Huamin's headquarters, Mo Schwenger was half lying on the sofa in a low-cut dress as she looked at Hua Xiqin with a smile. Oh, it seems like someone didn't do anything. Instead, he made them popular. Hua Xiqin was calmly writing with a brush in his hand. These are just appetizers, what's the rush? So, you have something else up your sleeve? Mo Schwenger sat up and asked tentatively. Chapter 1352. Hua Xiqin didn't respond. Instead, he continued to write. After he finished writing the last word, he casually tossed the brush aside. Schwenker stood up and walked over to his right. She looked at the words he had written: life and death are determined by fate. Riches and honor are determined by heaven. Haha, the situation is so big now it's even at the level of life and death. What, do you really want to fight to the death with Chinchu? Is it worth it? Schwenker chuckled. Huasichen turned his head, his eyes dark. You know that I don't like smart women? What if Huamin is smarter than me? Schwenker retorted. It's not the same, she's really smart. You think you're smart? Huasichen turned around in disdain, picked up the calligraphy he had written, and quietly admired it. Schwenker was angry, but she didn't dare to say anything. After all, in Huasichen's eyes, no one was better than Huamin, no matter how good she was. She originally thought that she wouldn't miss him after she got together with Jiang Yi, but for some reason she still wanted to see him like a madwoman. Therefore, she disregarded her dignity and threw herself into his arms. Huasichen didn't even say anything, but she did everything for him. She broke her contract and jumped ship, taking away a bunch of GK Entertainment's artists with her. Everyone in the industry called her a traitor. A traitor who sold out her master for glory. After Chinchu responded to this incident, he showed GK's magnanimity and Schwenker's despicableness. That night, she lost 800,000 fans on Weibo, something that had never happened before. Many fans turned to passers-by and even haters. She didn't respond to any of the insults she received, all because of this man named Huasichen. However, Schwenker also knew that Huasichen didn't love her. He never did. He didn't even love her body. When he slept with her, he treated her like an inflatable doll. After he vented, he heartlessly left. She thought that she was the most pitiful one, but later, she gradually realized that Song Yisher and Wang Xiaoxiao were even more pitiful than her. At least he wasn't afraid of Huasichen, but they were indeed afraid of him. In short, in Huasichen's world, all women were tragedies. Only Huamin was always the apple of his eye, high and mighty. Schwenker hated Huamin to the core. She didn't know how such a woman could exist in this world. Chinchu, Suyu, and Huasichen were all people who stood at the pinnacle of the world. Any one of the three of them was outstanding. She didn't know why God favored Huamin. Huamin had no talent, no virtue, and no looks. What right did she have? Was it because she had a heart that could bewitch men? Schwenker didn't dare to say anything in front of Huasichen. After what happened before, she didn't dare to touch Huasichen's bottom line again. She didn't ask for much, she just wanted to be by his side quietly. She was actually more curious about whether Huasichen had a way to defeat a king like Chinchu. 2 days later, GK Entertainment's Jinling City and Imperial Stars If You Never Loved Me were released on the same day. The truth was, this wasn't decided by the two companies. The movie theaters wanted to promote the release of the two movies at the same time, so the conflict intensified. After the two movies were released, there was a lot of reaction. There were both positive and negative comments, and some fans even started a war on a certain movie review website. Wow, did you guys see Jinling City? It was so good, I cried. My tears came out like a waterfall. Trash. People who use anti-Japanese themes to make movies are all trying to make money off the country. 8 years of anti-Japanese war was a pain in the hearts of our people. GK's president is shameless enough to stoop so low just to make money. I think If You Never Loved Me is better. Jian Tong's acting is great. I'm a fan now. You bunch of idiots, if you don't know anything then don't say it. Love in that kind of setting is even more heart-wrenching. In Jinling, there is a great portrayal of personal love and great love for one's country. Jinling is also Nanjing. Although it recalls an unpleasant history, it also shows us the spirit of the older generation of singers who dedicated themselves to their country. If it wasn't for their sacrifice, would there still be a harmonious society today? It would have become a fucking Japanese colony long ago. I think this movie tells us not to forget national shame. You must be a paid commenter. How much did GK's President Chin pay you? 50 cents per comment? Why are you praising him so much? The movie was meant to be entertaining, but the conflict escalated to personal attacks. Chapter 1353. N.I. Yang and Schwenker starred in Jinling City. Schwenker hadn't changed jobs yet. The story was about the love between a young secret agent of the Communist Party and the daughter of a Japanese military officer. N.I. Yang played the young secret agent, and Schwenker played the Japanese socialite, Ishii Haruko. The two fell in love with each other in a time of war, but they had to break up because of their country's grudge. In the end, Haruko betrayed her country for her lover and saved many Chinese lives, but was shot to death. Although it was a tragedy, the plot was intense and exciting, the scenes were shocking, and the sad ending made many viewers cry. Relying on its reputation, it made a comeback at the box office. In the beginning, it only made tens of millions, but in the end, it made more than 100 million every day. In the end, it made 2 billion yuan at the box office and became the biggest dark horse of the year. The main actors, Anai Yang and Mo Xuan'er, also became popular stars and became popular again. On the other hand, If You Never Loved Me was produced by Imperial Star and starred the top actress, Jian Tong. Jian Tong was a very likable celebrity with a good reputation in the industry and a huge fan base. The male lead was Chen Wenlei, a newcomer that Imperial Star had groomed. The story was about a couple who fell in love in college. On the night before their wedding, the girl died in a car accident and donated her heart. In the end, in order to protect the heart of the woman he loved, the man secretly approached the girl who received the new heart. The two fell in love and finally got together. Although the story was full of twists and turns, the ending was good and positive. Jian Tong was a very professional actress and her acting skills were very good. She played the girl who received the new heart very well. She won a lot of praise. In the end, If You Never Loved Me made 1.2 billion yuan at the box office. In fact, 1.2 billion yuan was a very good result. There weren't many movies that made more than 1 billion yuan at the box office. Unfortunately, it was released at the same time as GK. When the two companies were compared, it was obvious who was better. Jinling City made 800 million yuan more than If You Never Loved Me. Therefore, the fans of both companies started a war. It started on a certain movie review website. Then, it moved to the Weibo accounts of the main actors, and the war became more and more intense. That night, one of Jian Tong's fans posted a screenshot of the incident on Weibo. In the picture, she had bought the ticket for If I Had Never Loved You, but in the end she got the ticket for Jinling City. What did this prove? It was Jinling City that stole the box office of What If. Therefore, on Weibo, fans were cursing GK Entertainment for being shameless, despicable, and despicable for stealing box office sales. She even implicated GK's president, Qin Chu. This incident attracted the attention of many media outlets. Newspapers and news outlets began to report on this matter one after another. There were even some trolls who went to Huamin's Weibo to scold him. Your husband is shameless. He operates under the table. He can't beat others, so he steals the box office. Despicable and shameless. Dr. Hua, have you asked your husband? What the hell is going on? I don't believe in stealing the box office. Jinling City is a good place to watch. Isn't it normal for the box office to be high? What's the point of being jealous of others when you can't beat them? Mian, I believe in you and your husband. You wouldn't do something like this. Why don't you ask President Qin to come out and explain? Dr. Hua, have you seen Jinling City? I heard that Anai Yang is your brother, is that true? You're so good at acting. After lunch at Southside, Huamin opened Weibo and scrolled through it. He almost went crazy. There were tons of comments and tons of people who tagged him. It was a mess. What was going on? Why did Weibo suddenly explode? After understanding the situation, Huamin found out that GK and Imperial Star were in a war of words over box office sales. Chapter 1354. Huamin replied to a fan who questioned her on Weibo, my husband wouldn't do something like that. I believe there's a misunderstanding here. Don't get too worked up and curse at each other. Wise men don't believe in rumors. From Huamin's point of view, the people in charge of the two companies didn't do anything wrong, but the fans started to curse at them. Needless to say, Qin Chu would never do something like stealing the box office. She trusted her husband 100%? However, the fan who took the screenshot swore that Jinling City stole the box office. Was this a coincidence or intentional? Or did something happen at the movie theater? Huamin thought for a moment but didn't call Qin Chu. She felt that as his wife and not an employee of GK, if she paid too much attention to the company's affairs, people would gossip and say that the harem was interfering in politics. If that happened, Mr. Qin would be in a difficult position. After some thought, Huamin sent Anai Yang a WeChat message. Kid, what's going on? Sis, don't talk about it, my Weibo has fallen as well. I really have to hand it to these trolls. I'm the lead actress, but I can't believe they're attacking me. 2 billion yuan only means that the movie looks good, but they're accusing me of stealing the box office. What a deep pool. Okay, don't think too much about it. Go home and rest early. Don't accept any media interviews at this sensitive time, Huamin reminded. I know, sis, talk to you later. GK's Office of the President, President Qin. Do you think we should release a statement to explain this? Assistant Yang asked anxiously. No, the more we explain, the worse it will get. Let them say what they want, we won't respond. Qin Chu thought that these things were boring. There was no way the theater would directly offend Su Yu and help them steal the box office. Jian Tong's fans probably saw that their idol's box office wasn't doing well, so they purposely created a war of words. Qin Chu didn't plan on doing anything about it. He thought it would blow over in a few days. However, to his surprise, the situation became more and more intense. Jian Tong's fans began to cause trouble with banners and surrounded GK's entrance. Ni Yang's car was also sprayed with flowers and eggs. The audition for GK's trip was in full swing, but it was stopped because of this. GK's security guards had been dispatched many times, but there were too many fans, so they couldn't do anything about it. Headquarters of Imperial Star, President Su, what should we do now? And asked the boss calmly. Go get Jian Tong for me. Su Yu's face darkened. At the movie premiere, he had already said that he didn't mind who he sat with. The box office was judged by the audience. Even if he lost, he would accept it wholeheartedly. Su Yu was not that petty. Su Yu even secretly wore a mask to watch the midnight show in Jinling City. It was indeed very interesting. There was nothing wrong with him losing. He didn't think that Qin Chu had done anything. He didn't expect that Jian Tong's fans would take the lead and cause such a huge commotion. He didn't want things to turn out this way either. 5 minutes later, Jian Tong walked in wearing a nude-colored dress. She had long curly hair and exquisite makeup, making her look like a princess. President Su, you were looking for me? Jian Tong had always respected Su Yu. One could say that she was smart, but she was basically the type of girl who didn't care about anything. When you spoiled me, I wasn't arrogant. When you ignored me, I wasn't pessimistic. That was why Jian Tong was able to stand tall at Imperial Star all these years. She easily defeated Zhao Qingya, Annie Liang, Cotton Candy, and other popular actresses, and became the true big sister. What's wrong with your fans? Did you ask them to do this? Su Yu frowned slightly and looked up at Jian Tong. President Su, I didn't. If you're looking for me because of this, then I need to explain myself. Speak. Su Yu lowered his head and sipped his Longjing tea. Chapter 1355. I saw that fan's Weibo and she's verified by Weibo. She's the president of my global fan club, so everyone thinks she's trustworthy. But I want to say that she didn't set up that Weibo post herself, because she's always in contact with me. She would have communicated with me before doing something like this, but it's strange. After the incident, I've messaged her a few times but she didn't reply. I think something went wrong, and someone probably used her Weibo post to smear GK's reputation. What about the fans who caused trouble at GK? Are they not your fans? No, they are, but they're just cannon fodder. I think they were instigated by someone. So, I think this whole thing is a conspiracy. From beginning to end, they used the excuse of avenging me, but their real goal was to smear GK's reputation. So, I think I'm the scapegoat this time. Jian Tong spoke with sincerity, and so did the look in her eyes. Su Yu had known Jian Tong for a long time, and he didn't believe that she would lie. After 5 seconds of silence, President Su, should I post a statement on Weibo right now? To prove that I have nothing to do with those crazy fans' actions? No, it'll only make people think you're the culprit and it'll hurt the hearts of the real fans. What should we do now? Jian Tong looked at Su Yu and asked. Let's wait and see. Su Yu thought that if someone planned this on purpose, then they would be exposed. So he decided to wait and see what other tricks they had up their sleeves. 5:50 p.m. that day, Qin Chu got off work, and as soon as he walked out of GK's headquarters, he was surrounded by people. President Qin, do you have anything to say about the rumor that GK stole the box office? President Qin. I heard that Jinling City's 2 billion yuan was fake, is that true? President Qin, do you think the screenshot posted by that fan on Weibo is real? President Qin. The box office is so high this time, will Mo Schwenker still get a cut after she leaves? After all, she's the female lead. President Qin, can you tell me where the idea for Jinling came from? What made you decide to make a movie about the anti-Japanese war? And it's even better than teen idol movies? President Qin, I heard that you don't have a good relationship with President Su of Imperial Star. Is it because you're his competitor? President Qin, can you accept our exclusive interview? We want to make an exclusive magazine for Jinling City? I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm off work now. Let's talk about my work tomorrow. Qin Chu looked down at his watch and replied coldly. Qin Chu had been tired all day and he really didn't want to respond to these boring questions at the door. Therefore he walked straight ahead, intending to get on the Maybach. At this moment, a crazy female fan rushed over with an egg in her hand. "Profiteer, how dare you steal the box office? I'll beat you to death." The female fans shouted and threw eggs at him. Chin Chu reflexively raised his hand to block it, only to hear the sound of a slap. He was a little stunned because the egg did not hit him. He put down his hand and saw a woman in a white down jacket standing in front of him, catching the egg with her bare hands. The egg broke into pieces in Huamin's hand, and the eggshell and yolk were still stuck to her hand. "Wow, look, it's Mrs. Chin." The reporters became even more excited and swarmed up to the couple, completely surrounding them. Huamin raised her right hand, which still had the egg stuck to it, and slowly walked towards the fan who threw the egg at him. Then she smiled. This smile made the female fan's hair stand on end. She felt like something was about to happen. Chapter 1356. Sure enough, Huamin wiped the sticky egg on the female fan's face with his hand. Everyone was dumbfounded. Then Huamin took out a wet wipe from his pocket and wiped his sticky right hand. He looked at the female fan and said, "Chin Chu is my husband. Other than me, no one can bully him." Before anyone could react, she walked back and stood beside Chin Chu. She intimately held onto his arm and looked around at all the reporters. She slowly said, "I know everyone wants to ask my husband about the scandal of Jinling City stealing the box office. Let me clarify for him. You guys seem to have underestimated GK. GK is involved in many industries. Every year we make tens of billions of yuan in real estate and jewelry. GK Entertainment is a new and immature industry, so we don't rely on it to make a lot of money. Therefore we wouldn't do something as low as stealing the box office." "Then why did Jinling City earn 800 million yuan more than If I Never Loved You when it was released at the same time?" "That's ridiculous," a tabloid reporter said on purpose. Huamian smiled and continued, "You guys seem to have forgotten something. The main actors of Jinling City, Ni Yang and Mo Xuan are both A-list celebrities in China. Their appeal and influence can't be ignored. Jinling City aside, even if they were to star in any movie, as long as the quality of the movie is good, it would still be a hit. It's like saying that if you go and buy apples and oranges, you can't say which one isn't tasty, it's just a matter of personal taste. My husband and I have watched If I Never Loved You, it's also a great movie. We've always been in a healthy competition with Imperial Star. I hope you so-called fans can be a little more rational, don't try to slander your idols. Also, I'm warning you one last time, don't bully my husband. Otherwise I won't forgive you." Then Huamin grabbed Chin Chu's hand and got into the Maybach. Everyone didn't realize what was going on until the car left. They all started taking pictures of Chin Chu's car. In front of their televisions, many people had seen the live broadcast. Huamin's mighty and domineering speech turned many people into his fans. There weren't many women who were so protective of their husbands in public. Most women would either sulk, act coquettishly, or complain. On the other hand, Huamin's domineering face and threatening tone made her look like a tough woman. Everyone was exhilarated. When the two elders of the Chin family saw the television, they heaved a sigh of relief for their son. Chin Chu's father exclaimed, "Mian is such a brave girl. Chu didn't misjudge her." Lady Chin said guiltily, "Back then, I was too narrow-minded and prejudiced against her. Otherwise, if I had successfully left the country back then, my grandson might have grown up by now. It's a good thing that Mian doesn't care about the past. She's doing this because she's good to Chu. She loves the house and its crow. We, the older generation, shouldn't make things too difficult for the younger generation." Lady Chin nodded. "It won't happen again. Mian is a good girl. I was blind to believe Song Yisher's words in the past, and my misunderstanding of her became deeper and deeper." "Alright, did you ask Mayor Song? What's going on with the land acquisition?" "I did." Old Song's answer was very bureaucratic. He said it was the province's decision and had nothing to do with him. Bullshit. If it has nothing to do with him, who does it have anything to do with? Last time when we were drinking at our house, he swore that the land acquisition would be ours. Now he's changed his mind. What kind of mayor is he doing? Lady Chin was a little angry. Forget it, it's normal to give it to the Huasiqian. Huasiqian is his daughter's husband now. Their family, he can't be biased, right? Inside Su Yu's private mansion, he and Tang Chuan swam a few laps in the pool before going ashore. The maid handed over a towel, and Su Yu put it on and sat down on the bench to rest. Tang Chuan poked his head out of the pool and chuckled. "Did you watch the video today?" "I did." Su Yu sipped his juice nonchalantly. "Did it hurt your heart?" Tang Chuan teased. Suyu fell silent. Chapter 1357. He knew that Tang Chuan was referring to Huomin's response of protecting her husband. It was basically a public display of affection. He originally thought that Suyu would be extremely upset. However, to his surprise, Qin Chu calmly put the juice aside with a straw in his mouth and replied, "I'm used to it." Tang Chuan almost choked to death on his water. He didn't know that Lord Su's heart was so strong. He was even used to Qin Chu and Huomian's public displays of affection. Lord Su is easy to take care of. He has potential and potential. Tang Chuan gave him a thumbs up, then turned around and dove back into the pool. Suyu recalled the image of Huomin in front of the camera. She was dressed like a penguin, wearing a white down jacket with her hair in a ponytail. Just like that, she threw an egg at her fans' faces and shocked the media. However, the strange thing was that no one questioned her or discredited her because of this incident. Instead, they all thought that she did a good job and felt good about it. On the way back, Qin Chu was in an exceptionally good mood. He even started humming an English song. "Hey hey, Mr. Qin, you're in danger right now. You're surrounded by people and you're still in the mood to sing? Didn't Mrs. Qin step up and help me out?" Qin Chu was proud of himself. Huomin was speechless. "Good thing I came in time or else the egg would have fallen on you. That's not a big deal, it's just an egg, not a bomb." Qin Chu maintained his cold demeanor. Huomin was speechless. "So, I was being a busybody?" "No, you did a great job. Continue?" Qin Chu smiled. Huomin was dumbfounded. "Continue what?" "Continue to protect me?" Huomin was speechless. "Please, you're a man, the president of GK. Don't you have any shame? Do you need someone else to protect you?" "You're not someone else, you're my wife." "Okay, you're right, I don't know what to say." Huomin thought that Qin Chu had changed. He had become more open-minded. He was almost surrounded by fans, but he was still leisurely driving his car and humming a song. However, Huomin's words was the reason why Qin Chu was so happy. In front of so many people, she said domineeringly, "No one's going to bully my husband." That scene was unbelievably handsome. Countless times in his mind he's to be sure as to see Huomin's surprise. However, he never imagined a scene like this. Its sweetness, Mr. Means assistants, Hua's, headquarters Hunz's was up to be he up to Hua to be s work. Therefore he ordered everyone to work overtime for an indefinite amount of time, causing everyone to panic. He saw the video as well and he felt extremely depressed. If only he was the one standing next to Huomin. Now that he was protected by Huomin for once in his life, he felt extremely happy. Wasiqin missed the past more and more. In the past he could visit Huomin whenever he wanted. As long as he went near Second High he could definitely find that girl. However, after she grew up, she was getting further and further away from him. If he had thought about his current situation, he would have gotten rid of the old man earlier. Then he would have taken advantage of the fact that Qin Chu hadn't returned to China. The truth was, back then when Huomin wanted to marry her ex-boyfriend, he already had a plan. He would create an accident on the eve of the wedding so that they wouldn't be able to get married. Then he would find the right time to get close to Huomin. He would accompany her out of the shadows and make her rely on him. Then he would slowly capture her heart. However, he didn't expect Qin Chu to come back so suddenly. They were living together and getting their marriage certificate so suddenly. He remembered the night when he found out that Huomin and Qin Chu had gotten married. He went crazy and smashed everything in the apartment. Then, every night, having dinner with Qin Chu had become Huomin's most anticipated event. "Greedy cat?" Qin Chu teased. "It's not like this is the first day you've known me," Huomin said proudly. Qin Chu was speechless. Not bad, his wife knew how to apply what she learned from him. She picked up his style so quickly. "Honey, I'm going to treat you better from now on." What? Qin Chu was puzzled. Why did she suddenly say that? Did she find her conscience? Her next sentence made him want to vomit blood. "After all, marrying me proves that you have the best taste in the world, ha." Qin Chu was speechless. When did their personalities change? Qin Chu became calm and Huomin became arrogant. When they returned to South Hill Manor, Huomin realized that there was no dinner prepared. Just as she was about to ask Qin Chu if they wanted to eat out, Qin Chu put a cloak on Huomin. Then he held her hand and said, "Let's go, I'll take you somewhere." "You're being mysterious again?" Huomian smiled. Chapter 1359. The two of them didn't drive the Maybach when they left. Instead, they drove the Mercedes-Benz in the garage. Chin-Chu and Huamin rarely used the Mercedes-Benz RV. The company also had one for picking up clients. They had bought the RV at home 3 months ago, but it hadn't been driven. It was getting old. Luckily, they finally had a chance to drive it today. The mansion was located in the middle of South Hill, so it was quite a distance from the top of the mountain. Ever since Huamin moved here, he often walked by the creek at the foot of the mountain. He rarely went up the mountain, so he didn't know what was up there. Chin-Chu bought this land to build a mansion because of the beautiful scenery. Apparently, a lot of developers wanted this land. Apparently, a famous feng shui master in the country saw this place and said that the spiritual energy here was very strong. People who lived here would be rich and healthy. Chin-Chu chatted with Huamin. When they talked about this, Huamin asked, "Did the feng shui master say that the spiritual energy here is very strong? Is it suitable for cultivation?" Chin-Chu was speechless. His wife was such a weird girl. Chin-Chu drove for about 10 minutes before they arrived at the top of the mountain. Then he parked the car and began to move things out. "Honey, are we going to set up camp?" "No." "Then what kind of mess did you move?" "Barbecue." "Oh my God, barbecue in this weather?" Huamin was completely shocked. In the past, he often went to barbecue outdoors with Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling. But that was in summer and autumn. Who would want a barbecue in the cold winter? But Mr. Qin was stubborn. He didn't even need the help of the servants. In less than half an hour, everything was ready. In an open space at the top of the mountain, Chin-Chu cleared the white snow and propped up the iron stove. He turned on the fire and barbecue. There were beef kebabs, lamb kebabs, bone meat skewers, chicken wings, drumsticks, ham bread, and even Huamin's favorite roasted corn. The most surprising thing was that it was actually a locally produced soda. Huamin had this kind of soda when he was young. Now it was 3 yuan a can and it was delicious. "Hubby, you're so virtuous." Huamin hugged Chin-Chu's waist from behind and began to act coquettishly. Chin-Chu covered Huamin's hand with one hand and coaxed her. "Honey, it's too cold outside. Get in the car and wait. When it's done, I'll call you." "No, I want to stay with you." Huamin was determined not to leave. No wonder before going out, Chin-Chu had repeatedly told her to wear an outdoor mountaineering jacket of a certain brand. So it turned out that they were going to do something so exciting. The winter nights in the north were brutal, and the temperature could drop to 20 degrees below zero. Southern girls couldn't stand this kind of weather, but the good thing was that the local kids were completely used to it. The couple's mountaineering outfits, one red and the other black, looked especially good on them. Huamin naughtily put the scarf around her neck around Chin-Chu's neck. Instantly, Chin-Chu's aura rose to another level. "Honey, don't be naughty, be a good girl and go play somewhere else." Chin-Chu focused on roasting meat while taking care of Huamin. He was really worried sick. In the end, Huamin got bored and went to make a snowman. By the time Chin-Chu finished roasting the meat, Huamian had also finished making the snowman. Luckily, Chin-Chu brought a lot of vegetables in the car. He was going to roast it, but Huamian used 2 green peppers as eyes. She also used red peppers as the nose. The funniest thing was that she took off her red woolen hat and put it on the snowman. "Hubby, look." Huamin was like a child showing off to Chin-Chu. Chin-Chu turned around and smiled. Chapter 1360. Is it pretty? Yeah, it's pretty. Is she pretty or am I pretty? You're pretty, so you're saying that my snowman isn't pretty? Huamin pouted. She's pretty. Chin-Chu immediately changed his words. So you're saying that I'm not as pretty as a snowman? Huamin's face was still dark. You're both pretty. Chin-Chu cleverly changed his words again. So you're saying that I'm as pretty as a snowman? Oh my God. I'm really going to kneel down? Chin-Chu was completely convinced. Ha. Huamian, on the other hand, laughed hysterically. Bickering with the black-bellied Mr. Qin was a lot of fun. Seeing Chin-Chu laugh helplessly, Huamin felt a sense of superiority. When the skewers were done, Chin-Chu was afraid that Huamin would feel cold, so he wanted to take them to the RV to eat. However, Huamin insisted on eating outside because it was rare for them to be in such a mood. The night sky, the snowman, the night view, the barbecue, and her beloved husband. Chin-Chu was afraid that Huamin would feel cold, so he carefully took out some wood and started a bonfire. Instantly, it warmed up a lot. The two of them sat around the bonfire, eating delicious skewers and drinking soda from when they were little. Huamin leaned on Chin-Chu's shoulder in satisfaction. Honey, I'm very happy right now. Me too. I want to be happy forever. I really do. Huamin tightly grabbed onto Chin-Chu's shirt. She was a very insecure person. Every time she was at her happiest, she would be afraid of losing something. We will, as long as you want, we'll be like this forever. Chin Chu tightly hugged Huamin's waist. Honey, let's play a game? What game? It means that we will ask each other questions, and the one who answers incorrectly will be flicked on the head by the other party, okay? Okay. Seeing Huamin's attitude, Chin Chu gladly agreed. Huamin immediately turned his head to face Chin Chu. Then he took a greedy bite of the chicken wing and said, "Where did we first meet?" "During the military training in the first year of high school, I was on the field." Chin Chu remembered that day when Huamin came in late with her backpack. The instructor was very dissatisfied and punished her to run one lap first. In the end, she vowed that she couldn't run because her period came. At that time, the male instructor was very embarrassed. Now that he thought about it, Huamin was not only a genius when she was in school but also a troublemaker. The answer is correct. Then ask me. Huamin was full of anticipation. Our first class is, Lin Sanjiu said. Before Chin Chu could finish his sentence, Huamin couldn't wait to answer, Chinese. Our first class in the first year of high school was Chinese. What I want to ask is, during our first class, how many questions did the Chinese teacher ask to the students? Damn, is that even possible? Huamin thought that Chin Chu was crazy. How could he ask such a scary question? It had been so long ago and they weren't familiar with the first class yet. How could she remember how many questions the Chinese teacher asked? You lost, right? Chin Chu came over and was about to flick her. However, Huamin stopped him with both hands. What, you can't afford to lose? Chin Chu smirked. No, for the sake of fairness, you should tell me the answer first. Don't ask a question that you don't even know the answer to, that's not okay. Okay, then I'll convince you. Listen carefully. During our first class, the Chinese teacher asked 3 students questions. They were Du Chunyu in the first row, Zhang Baiyan on the left in the third row, and Zhu Lingling on the left in the second row. Oh. Right, I remember now. Lingling complained that the Chinese teacher didn't like her and purposely picked on her. Oh my god, how do you have such a good memory? I'm in awe. Huamin lowered her head and leaned over. She closed her eyes and waited for Mr. Qin to torture her. She thought that Mr. Qin would go easy on her because they were husband and wife, but who would have thought? Unexpectedly, it hurts. Huamin covered her head and looked at Chin Chu with dissatisfaction. Humph, why are you being so serious? Huamin cried. Chapter 1361. Just make it hurt. If you don't listen to me in the future, I'll punish you like this. Huamin pouted. Then she heard Chin Chu continue. You can't avoid being whipped either, Huamin. If you don't like it, let's do it again. Let me ask you. Huamin played with all her might and lost to Chin Chu 5 times in a row. Mr. Qin didn't go easy on her at all, but she had a lot of fun. As they ate and played, they finally had their fill, and drank their fill. Huamin leaned on Chin Chu's shoulder happily. She didn't even have time to think about taking pictures and posting them on WeChat. When you're truly happy, you just want to enjoy every second of it. You don't want to show off your happiness to others. Honey, are we all going to die? If one day we're old, and I die first, will you miss me? No, after you die, I'll find another old lady. Damn it, are you that heartless? Huamin pushed him unhappily. So, don't die before me. If I die first, you can do whatever you want, and then you can find an old man to enjoy. Chin Chu teased her on purpose. To his surprise, Huamin's eyes turned red. She held Chin Chu's face in her hands and said seriously, I don't want to find an old man. No one in this world will love me more than you. No one will occupy my heart. I don't want you to die. You have to live well, and don't leave me. If we really die, let's go together. That way we can cross the bridge of forgetfulness together, drink Granny Meng's soup together, reincarnate together, and then we can still be together in our next life. Then, before Chin Chu could say anything, Huamin kissed him. This kiss was extremely lingering. The bonfire next to them crackled. The flames flickered as if they were dancing. The interior of the Mercedes-Benz RV illuminated the surroundings, emitting a warm light. Huamin felt that every second that Chin Chu was by her side was happiness. She seemed to have endless things to say to him. Chin Chu stood up and carried Huamin into the limousine. Then he closed the door. The design of the bed in the car was perfect. The two of them were so deeply in love that they could only remember how to make love. He only wanted to invade the other party, as if he wanted to merge himself into the depths of the other party's soul. Over an hour later, the two of them lay on the big bed, panting. They leaned against each other and looked at the stars in the panoramic skylight. The night sky is so beautiful. Huamin smiled and sighed. No matter how beautiful the night is, it's not as beautiful as my wife. Qin Chu turned around and gently stroked Huamin's face. You're such a sweet talker. You're going to spoil me. If you're going to spoil me, then so be it. I don't plan on changing you anyways. I want you in this life, whether you're arrogant or gentle and quiet, whether you're domineering or petite and cute. In short, you belong to the Qin family. Chapter 1362. Assistant Yang handed him a piece of information. Qin Chu's expression didn't change after reading it. When did the news come out? Qin Chu asked. This morning. Where's the person in charge? General Manager Jiang Linyue? Can't be reached? Can't be reached? What do you mean? Qin Chu raised his head and frowned slightly. I called her cell phone but I couldn't get through. No one picked up the landline either. The people at the company said that General Manager Jiang hasn't been here in 3 days. No one called the police when she went missing? Assistant Yang lowered his head. Sir, what should we do now? Try to find a way to contact Jiang Linyue. I have to know what happened over there. Ever since Qin Chu transferred Jiang Linyue to the subsidiary company, he didn't assign any important projects to the company. He was afraid that something would go wrong because of her. Even so, something still went wrong. Assistant Yang was very nervous. However, Qin Chu wasn't. As the head of a huge financial group, he wasn't going to make a big deal out of it. Wasn't it just a forced demolition scandal at the subsidiary company? However, the fact that Jiang Linyue went missing was quite strange. Did something really happen to her? Qin Chu had a feeling that things weren't as simple as they seemed. That night after work, Qin Chu called Huamin in advance to tell her that he had to work overtime, so he told her to go eat or go home first. Qin Chu didn't want Huamin to come to the company to accompany him after working all day. Huamin understood what Qin Chu meant, so he didn't force her and nodded in agreement. Then, when he drove past the Sichuan restaurant after work, Qin Chu stopped his car and went in to order a few dishes. He often ate with Mr. Qin, so he wasn't used to eating alone. Huamin ordered 4 dishes and a soup, then quietly ate his rice. Hua Xiqian's Rolls-Royce Phantom happened to pass by this road. When he saw the familiar Audi R8, he suddenly stopped his car. Do you want to eat Sichuan food? Hua Xiqian turned his head and asked Wang Shasha. Didn't you say you were going to Cantonese cuisine? Wang Shasha asked nervously. You changed your mind again? Okay, whatever you say. Wang Shasha was a little afraid of Hua Xiqian. So when they went out, no matter what they bought, they didn't dare to have their own opinions. She also didn't know why Hua Xiqian would suddenly stop the car in front of this small Sichuan restaurant. When Hua Xiqian came in, he didn't greet Huamin. Instead, he sat beside the window with Wang Shasha. 15 minutes later, Huamin finished eating and called for the waiter. Pay the bill. Someone has already bought it for you? Who bought it for me? Huamin was stunned. The gentleman by the window? The waiter pointed at Hua Xiqian, who was wearing a coffee-colored European jacket. Hua Xiqian happened to look over and saw Huamin looking at him. He smiled and waved his hand. Huamin's eyes gradually dimmed. How much is this? She asked the waiter. It's a total of 288 yuan. Okay, I got it. Huamin then stood up, took out 300 yuan from her bag and walked towards Hua Xiqian. Mr. Hua, thank you for paying for me, but I don't like to owe people favors. After speaking, Huamin placed the 300 yuan on the table in front of Hua Xiqian. Are you mad because I opened Hua Entertainment and stole people from GK? Hua Xiqian narrowed his eyes and smiled at Huamin. You're overthinking it, Mr. Hua. You're still so stubborn. I'm just mad, but I'm curious. Su Yu is GK's competitor, and he's taking GK seriously. Why don't you hate him as well? I'm heartbroken that you treat me like this. Hua Xiqian smiled. Chapter 1363. Huamin smiled and looked at Hua Xiqian. Mr. Hua, you're exaggerating. Su Yu isn't as capable as you are. He's not a despicable person who would use underhanded methods. After all, everyone is different, right? Mr. Hua, you're different. You're so capable that you can make GK's artists leave in an instant. But that also means that you have prestige. I wish your company great success in the future, and I also wish you and this beauty a happy dinner. Alright, I think you're married. Miss Song Yi sure wouldn't mind you bringing a beauty out like this, would she? After speaking, before Hua Xiqian could say anything, Huamin turned around and left. He only left behind the 300 yuan bills. Hua Xiqian wasn't angry. He was used to seeing Huamin angry, so he thought it was pretty cute. You're still the same, always full of thorns when you're angry? Hua Xiqin shook his head with a smile, his eyes full of love. Mr. Hua, who is she? Wang Xiaxia had been with Hua Xiqin for a while now, but this was the first time she saw a woman who dared to talk to him like this. She was surprised that he wasn't angry. Shut up if you shouldn't ask, Hua Xiqin said coldly. She carefully placed the 300 yuan that Huamin left behind in her wallet. Wang Xiaxia didn't dare to ask any more questions, but she vaguely felt that this woman meant something to Hua Xiqin. Suyu hadn't seen Huamin in a long time, and he missed her very much. He could only find traces of her through TV and newspapers. He even scrolled through Weibo constantly, but she never updated. During lunch he ate with Tang Chuan and Wei Liao at a seafood restaurant. Suyu was so listless that he wasn't even in the mood to eat lobster. Lord Su, what's wrong? Did he have a wet dream last night? Tang Chuan asked. Wei Liao almost spat out the seafood soup in his mouth. That's too much information, you'll teach the child the wrong things. You're not allowed to see my son again, Wei Liao warned. Seriously, what's wrong with Lord Su lately? He's irritated for a few days every month, it's like he's on his period? Suyu was about to eat the lobster with his fork when he heard Tang Chuan's words. He raised his fork. Hua, Tang Chuan said he immediately with a smile on his face. He's and not. Hua's Su, he's Hua Su, Hua Xiqin says, Hua's. That's easy. Let's go to South Side and look for him, Tang Chuan suggested. Huamin doesn't just go around looking for him, he needs a reason, Wei Liao interrupted. Suyu looked up at Tang Chuan and asked, does your family have a history of mental illness? No, what? I want Dr. Hua to run a checkup for you. Fuck, how did you even think of that? Tang Chuan was about to faint. Although Huamin was a neurologist, he couldn't just ask him to run a checkup for him. Mental illness. How could he even think of that? Wei Liao was laughing so hard that he was about to cramp up. Oh right, Lord Su, now that Hua Entertainment is trying so hard to get a piece of your pie, aren't you going to teach them a lesson? I'm not that kind of despicable person. If Hua Xiqin has the ability, then let him do it. There's no end to the money, so whoever has the ability can do it. I'm not afraid of competitors. In fact, if there's no one to play with, then I'll be bored. Suyu took a sip of his draft beer as he spoke. After having lunch with Wei Liao and Tang Chuan, they went back to their respective companies. In the afternoon, Suyu got off work early, but he couldn't wait any longer and went to South Side. However, he didn't drive his own car. Instead, he drove the company's black Mercedes-Benz business car. Then he parked it in the parking lot outside South Side. Huamin got off work at 5:30 p.m. sharp. When she walked out, she felt a little cold. She stood at the door and tied her scarf around her neck. Then she got into her Audi R8 and drove off. She had no idea that someone actually ran all the way from the city to the suburbs just to catch a glimpse of her from afar. It didn't even take a minute, however. Suyu was satisfied. After Huamin left, he slowly left 10 minutes later. After Huamin got off work, she didn't go back to the mansion. Instead, she went to the supermarket to buy some fruits and vegetables for her mother to send to Sky Blessing Court. However, at the entrance of a supermarket in the city, she saw someone she hadn't seen in a long time. Huamin was slightly surprised at first. Then she parked her car and walked up. Chapter 1364. When Ning Ziyuan saw Huamin, he was clearly dumbfounded. How have you been? Huamin greeted him calmly. Not bad. For some reason, Ning Ziyuan felt more and more distant from Huamin. He didn't even dare to look at her. He didn't have the confidence to do so. Who knew what he was feeling guilty about? Did you find a job? Huamin knew that Ning Ziyuan and He-Man were together for a period of time. They lost a lot of money gambling and their lives were miserable. This caused Ning Ziyuan to work at some black-hearted clinics, making him look like a ghost. I found one. I'm working at a pharmacy. Ning Ziyuan sounded a little tired. Nowadays, a lot of big pharmacies would hire doctors to treat patients in order to sell their drugs better. Ning Ziyuan had fallen to the point where he had to treat patients in big pharmacies. To be honest, Huamin felt quite sad. A few days ago, Xiaoxue called me, Huamin said quietly. Upon hearing Wu Xiaoxue's name, Ning Ziyuan's body trembled slightly. She and the baby are doing well, and Xingyue is a good girl. Oh, really? Ning Ziyuan felt a little awkward. After all, he had done so many things to Wu Xiaoxue. Now that he mentioned his daughter and the baby, he felt a lot of guilt. Xiaoxue also asked me to ask you. Huamian paused for a second. Ask me what? Ning Ziyuan raised his head. He didn't dare to look Huamin in the eye. She asked if you were willing to go to Chicago, Huamin said faintly. Ning Ziyuan's eyes widened. He didn't seem to understand what Huamin meant. What she means is, she wants you to go to America with them. Can I? Ning Ziyuan's voice was a little dry. Even he couldn't believe it. Maybe she's willing to give you one last chance for the sake of your daughter? Huamin stared into Ning Ziyuan's eyes and said word by word. Ning Ziyuan shook his head and smiled bitterly. I'm afraid I can't. I'm not a good husband and I'm not a good father. I've let them down and I'll be useless if I go to the States. Do you know what I despise most about you? Huamin questioned coldly. Ning Ziyuan lowered his head and didn't say anything. What I despise most isn't your lack of money or your poor family background, but your constant denial and self-abandonment. There are a lot of things you think you can't do before you even do them. Haha, as time passes, you'll really think you can't do anything. Ziyuan, men and women are different. Women want stability but men want to go out and fight. You're still young and you still have a long way to go. If you give up on yourself like this, how can you face Uncle and Auntie Ning who raised you? They're old now. It's not easy for them and you're their only son. I hope you can stop being so selfish and think about those who deserve your love and those who deserve your fight. After speaking, Huamin took out a sticky note from his bag, wrote a number on it and handed it to Ning Ziyuan. This is Xiaoshua's number in Chicago. If you've made up your mind, call her. You can decide for yourself what your future will be like. Huamin passed on the message and said everything that needed to be said. She hoped that Ning Ziyuan would have an epiphany as soon as possible. He didn't want to live his life in such a muddle-headed state. In Zhu Lingling's words, Ning Ziyuan obviously had a good hand, but he played it so badly. The Wu family was such a good family and Wu Xiaoshua loved him so much. They even had a smart and cute little daughter. He was also an ophthalmologist, but now he had fallen to such a state. It was unbelievable. After Huamin left, she went straight to the supermarket and bought a lot of food and fruit. When she came out with shopping bags, Ning Ziyuan was long gone. Huamin didn't know what he was going to do and she didn't want to guess. She believed that an adult, unless there was something wrong with his brain, would choose the path that he wanted to take in his life. On the way back, she put on her Bluetooth headset and called Qin Chu. Honey, I'm a little like a Mary Sue today. What's wrong? Qin Chu asked gently. Chapter 1365. Huamin told him about how she met Ning Ziyuan. You're not a Mary Sue, you were asked to do this. Qin Chu chuckled after he finished speaking. What are you laughing at? Honey, you're getting better at persuading people. If you practice a little more, you can go to the marketing department and brainwash people. Now that you've put it like this, if Ning Ziyuan still gives up on his last chance to go to the States, then he's probably under a spell. Ha! Mr. Qin, you're still as black-bellied as ever. You don't even need to curse. Okay, let's not talk about him. Anyway, I've done what Xiaoshua asked me to do and fulfilled her wish. I'm going to Sky Blessing Court to have dinner with Mom. Will you come over later? I'm not sure yet, I still have a lot of things to take care of at the company. Stay with Mom. Okay, come pick me up when you're done. Okay. After hanging up, Huamin drove straight to Sky Blessing Court. After Jixin returned to New Zealand, her mother was all alone again. Huamin always felt that her mother was very lonely. Although she had a big house and a lot of money, she didn't lack anything. She just felt that her mother wasn't happy. She had never talked to her about anything too personal, but today Huamin wanted to take the opportunity to talk to her mother alone. Mian, you bought so much I can't finish it all? Her mother scolded her. Then she took the bags from her daughter's hands. Finally, she washed a lot of fruits for Huamin. The mother and daughter sat on the sofa in the living room and chatted. Mian, are you still taking your Chinese medicine? I'm still taking it, Mom. I know how to take care of my body. I've been preparing for pregnancy, ready to welcome the arrival of a new life. Huamin smiled optimistically. My child, how can you still be in the mood to smile? Yang Meirong looked at her daughter with heartache. Mom, don't worry about me, what's coming will come. Huamin was already in a good mood, so she didn't want her mother to worry about her all the time. Is Chu busy recently? Quite busy. There's a lot of stuff going on, Huamin replied after taking a sip of fruit juice. Then you should help him when you have time. After all, it's his family's business. Your in-laws are old and Qin Chu can't manage such a big company by himself. He doesn't have any siblings. I know, Mom. Once Jixin finishes his studies, he'll be able to help Qin Chu. Qin Chu loves Jixin so much. They're so close, Huamin said with a smile. Qin Chu was a person who had no feelings for anyone other than Huamin. However, he loved Jixin very much. Because Huamin loved his younger brother, Qin Chu loved him even more. In New Zealand, not only did Jixin pay for his tuition, but his living expenses were also covered by his brother-in-law. Jixin's living expenses of 1 million yuan a month were shocking. The good thing was that Jixin was very sensible and never spent money recklessly. He saved it up and planned to repay GK when he returned to China. Yang Meirong smiled at the mention of Jixin. Jixin's all grown up now and he's a lot more sensible. It'd be great if he could help Chu out at the company. That way he'd be able to relax a lot. Mom, are you happy now? Huamin asked tentatively when he saw that it was about time. I'm pretty happy. I don't have to worry about you and Jixin anymore, and I even live in a big house. Compared to the small courtyard I used to live in, I'm so much happier now. I don't lack money and I have everything I want to eat. Auntie Wu and the others are all jealous of me. Yang Meirong smiled from the bottom of her heart. However, Huamin still felt bad for his mother. After all, she was only in her 50s. Mom, I think that even though you don't lack money, you're still pretty lonely mentally. Mentally? Yang Meirong was slightly surprised. Chapter 1366. Huamin nodded. I'll be honest with you, Mom, you should go out more often. If Auntie Wu and the others have suitable uncles, I hope they can keep an eye out for you. I didn't know that you were alone in your old age. Living alone is very lonely. You're not used to being with me and Qin, and you don't want to live with Jixin all the time. If this continues, you'll feel more and more lonely. No matter how filial your children are, they're not as good as a caring partner. So, Mom, I hope that you can find someone who truly loves and cares for you and spend the rest of your life with him. After Huamin finished speaking, Yang Meirong was completely dumbfounded. What nonsense are you talking about? Mom, I'm not talking nonsense. Don't be embarrassed, I understand your situation. Ever since Uncle Jing passed away, you've been supporting me and Jixin with your convenience store. We love you very much. We definitely didn't mean to push you to find a partner. From the bottom of our hearts, we really want you to live a happier life. Silly child, I'm already so old. If word gets out, it'll be so embarrassing. It'll be a disgrace to you and Qin. Yang Meirong sighed heavily. The truth was, she had thought about finding a partner before. Her neighbors had all mentioned before that she didn't want her children to suffer because they were young. Now that Huamin and Jixin were both grown up, she didn't have to think so much anymore. But now she felt embarrassed. She thought that this would be a disgrace to her children and that it would be a disgrace to them. Especially when her son-in-law was a famous and successful man. In short, there were too many concerns that she didn't dare to entertain such thoughts. Never in her wildest dreams did she think that Huamin would take the initiative to bring this up. Mom, what day and age are we living in? What do you mean disgrace? Isn't it normal to care for the elderly? Besides, those who keep mistresses, find mistresses and have moral problems are the ones who are really discreditable. You are upright and you lost your spouse when you were young. What's wrong with finding a partner that you can get along with? Don't listen to other people's nonsense. Anyway, Jixin and I are very supportive of you. In the future, if Auntie Wu and Auntie Lu ask you again, just go and meet them. Don't reject them immediately. That won't do. Before Yang Meirong could finish her sentence, Huamin changed the topic. Mom, I'm a bit hungry. Then I'll go and cook now. What do you want to eat? The radish meatball soup you made? Huamin looked at his mother and pretended to be pitiful. Okay, then I'll make pancakes and radish meatball soup for you. As soon as she heard her daughter say she was hungry, Yang Meirong immediately ran into the kitchen. Huamin felt that his first attempt at brainwashing his mother was a success. He hoped that she could put aside her worldly views and really think about her own happy life. But according to his mother's traditional way of thinking, if he had to continue talking to her about these things, she might not be able to accept it in a short period of time. Huamin was leisurely eating fruits and playing with his phone. Suddenly a piece of news popped up. Big news, big news. A famous male artist from GK was detained by the police for fighting in the underworld. According to reports, the big movie that was supposed to be released tomorrow was also banned by the Radio, Film and Television Bureau. Huamin's heart skipped a beat when he saw this. Then he saw netizens commenting below, I heard that Imperial Star's portrait of the country in beauty will also be released tomorrow. I wonder if GK really got into a scandal this time or if they were set up. Maybe someone from Imperial Star set them up on purpose. Some netizens even cursed, Suyu is a despicable person who keeps slandering my Prince Charming Qin. Just as Huamin saw this, his phone received a WeChat message. Mian, is it true that a celebrity from your company got into a fight? The person who sent the WeChat message was Xiaowei. Jiang Xiaowei didn't like to follow the happenings in the entertainment industry, but since she took the initiative to ask this time, Huamin felt that there was something else going on. Xiaowei, did you hear other rumors? Huamin reacted quickly and asked Xiaowei back. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.